Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to part 2 of What If I Was Reincarnated in the world of Naruto as Naruto's twin sister. Let the tale begin. Chapter 21, Meeting Kurama. After a few more minutes, Yuna got back to her home, but as soon as she opened the door, a yellow-orange blur hug tackled her. Naruto was just about to get loud when Yuna shut his mouth with her hand and pointed in the direction of Hinata's room. Naruto nodded and quietly let go of Yuna. The twins silently moved through the flat and entered Yuna's room, and as soon as the door closed, Yuna activated the room's seals to block outsiders from hearing what is being said inside. Well then, Naruto, I have decided that I will tell you pretty much everything I have found out so far about the village, our parents, and the two of us. Naruto's eyes immediately sparkled with excitement. He knew that Yuna is aware of a lot more than things she let on, but Naruto decided for himself that he would just wait until Yuna decided to tell him about these things. In his opinion, Yuna would never do something to hurt him or conceal information without a reason. Here comes the most important question that ties everything together: why are we hated? Naruto immediately drew a blank. That is the most important question. At this point, I pretty much don't even care about that anymore. He was just about to tell Yuna his doubts when Yuna lifted her hand and pointed her fist at Naruto. She had a mischievous smile on her face and clearly wanted Naruto to fist bump her. Want to find out? Naruto didn't understand what Yuna meant, but for now, he just fist bumped with her to see what would happen. As soon as he did, however, he was sitting in a completely different location. Behind him was a dreary-looking sewer, while in front of him was a vast sprawling forest with huge glaciers as a backdrop. Where are we, Ne-san? This is a representation of our inner world. People usually call it the mindscape. Naruto gave a slow nod at the answer, indicating that he more or less understood what Yuna said. A few moments later, however, he widened his eyes in shock and took another look back at the sewers. Ne-san, that is. No need to look sad, Naruto. They always look like that at first. I wanted to wait a bit longer until I teach you how to enter and organize your mindscape, but since you have grown up quite a lot, I decided to push all of that forward a few years. Well, that is for later. There are more important things to do right now. Follow me. Naruto had a happy smile on his face after being praised by Yuna and immediately followed her into the forest. After walking for a short while, they reached a huge clearing with a giant lake in the middle of it. Next to the lake was a huge cage, with an equally monstrous orange-red fox inside of it. He was currently laying down on his belly while his chin rested on his two folded front paws. He looked at Naruto with some curiosity in his eyes. He really wondered how Naruto would take the information. After seeing the giant fox, Naruto became completely gobsmacked and stopped walking forwards. Yuna saw his expression and couldn't help but chuckle a little. Hee hee. Here he is. Let me introduce you, the nine-tailed fox. The Kyuubi. As for his real name, well, he has to tell you himself. Kyuubi, meet my little brother Naruto. No real reason to introduce him when I have seen him through your eyes for the last 8 years, is there? Oh well, call me Kyuubi for now. Nice to meet you, I guess. Kurama has actually significantly calmed down in the last 8 years. All the bantering with Yuna caused Kurama's mood to improve and lessened the hatred he had for most humans. Combine that with the fact that he has grown slightly fond of the ball of sunshine that is Naruto, Kurama actually managed to give a normal greeting. Naruto, however, was still frozen in place. His mouth and eyes were still wide open, while his mind went into overdrive. Although Naruto was never much of a thinker, he can still connect some dots if you give him enough clues. The Kyuubi is in Ne-san's mindscape. Why? Wait, I read about something called Jinchuriki. Is Ne-san the Kyuubi's container? Is that also why people call us demon twins? No, that's stupid. Even if the Kyuubi is sealed inside Ne-san, she is just the container, not the Kyuubi herself. No wait, Ne-san always wants us to hide our strength. Is someone plotting against us and Ne-san doesn't want that person to know our strength? Is that person the one that is spreading false rumors to people so they would hate us? That is possible. Why is it demon twins though? Do I also have something sealed inside me? Maybe we both have part of the Kyuubi inside us? Is that possible? No clue. If it was just sealed into Nae-san, however, she would have told me about it earlier. She knows I wouldn't care about that. Whatever, Nae-san said she will explain everything to me, so I just have to wait. Naruto woke up from his thoughts and noticed two pairs of eyes looking at him and waiting for him to finishing. Are you done thinking, Naruto? Asterisk cough asterisk. Yeah, I'm done. I am surprised you are not angry. Naruto only tilted his head in confusion. Why would I be angry? Well, there is a lot of nonsense and rumors about the Kyuubi, but he is the one that killed our parents. Naruto immediately widened his eyes in surprise. At first, anger flashed through him that, however, was quickly replaced by sadness which, again, was overwhelmed by anger. Yuna had clearly forgiven the Kyuubi, so for now, Naruto wanted to hear the whole story. Yuna had always taught him the importance of looking at something from every perspective. Although he could feel anger bubble up inside of him every time he looked at the Kyuubi, he also wanted to listen to what Yuna taught him. Naruto took a deep breath too, at least somewhat, calm his nerves and then looked at the Kyuubi. Are you really the one who killed our parents? Yes. In Kurama's opinion, there was no need to put flowers on his words. No matter the circumstances, he was definitely the one who killed them. No need to dance around it. Naruto could already feel the anger in him rise even further, but for now, he pushed it down. Why? They tried to seal me away and I would rather not have been imprisoned. Didn't they want to seal you because you were rampaging inside Konoha? That is partially correct. I was indeed wreaking havoc in Konoha, but that was because someone controlled me with genjutsu. After the genjutsu was broken, the sealing process had already started, so I retaliated. Naruto had a rather conflicted look about that. He was certainly still angry, but he didn't know where he was supposed to put that anger. He felt like pointing it at the Kyuubi would be wrong somehow. Well, Naruto, no need to think so hard. You probably aren't sure whom to be angry at, but isn't that rather obvious? Obvious? Yeah, just think about it for a moment. Naruto went quiet for a while and then realized what Yuna meant. I see, the one who controlled the Kyuubi is at fault. Without that person, nothing would have happened. That doesn't mean, however, that I would just forgive you for it, Kyuubi. And I don't have any interest in earning your forgiveness either. If Yuna didn't ask me to, I wouldn't have bothered talking with you, after all. Because Nae-san asked you? Yeah, we became friends quite a while ago. Friends? Nae-san, you are friends with the Kyuubi? Yeah, we clicked pretty well together, so we became friends. After hearing that Yuna was actually friends with Kurama, Naruto's mind completely shut down. He couldn't even begin to understand how someone could become friends with something like the Kyuubi, a supposed monster that had roamed the elemental nations for centuries. After a bit more pondering, Naruto quickly concluded, it is Nae-san, after all, so it's fine. That's right, he decided to just put it into his, it is Nae-san after all, folder and be done with it. Well, now that we have the first meeting out of the way, let's arrange the second one. Are you talking about the Kyuubi part that is sealed inside me, Nae-san? Oh? Well done. You figured out that a part of him is sealed inside you as well. But no, that is the third meeting today. The second one is with our parents. What? We can meet them? Yup, while analyzing the seal, I found both of their chakras inside it. Our father will appear just before completely lifting the seal and our mother the moment it gets completely lifted. Doesn't that mean you would have to remove the Kyuubi's seal and set him free? Yes and no. I indeed need to completely remove the seal, but he will still have to stay in my body. If he were to leave it, I would die after all. Naruto immediately started to panic and wanted Yuna to keep the seal, but before he could say anything, Kurama started to speak. No need to worry, Pipsqueak, unlike you humans, I keep my promises and don't betray those I consider friends. Naruto really wanted to argue back, but there really wasn't much ground to argue on. He had at least a rough understanding of history and knew that betrayal is certainly an integral part of it. Don't worry too much, Naruto. He might look intimidating, but he is actually a big softie. What? You dare call me a softie? Sorry, anyway let's get these seals removed, shall we? MPHF, fine, I will forgive you for that comment. Yuna only threw Naruto a knowing glance before starting the unsealing procedure. Naruto, on the other hand, tried to suppress the chuckle that almost left his mouth after seeing the antics of the two before him. Now it was time to meet his parents. Chapter 22, Kurama's Outburst. Yuna's fingers started to glow blue and she started drawing seal after seal in the air. Those seals would simply stay in the air without moving at all. Creating seals midair is something only those considered seal masters can do. After writing seals non-stop for 5 minutes, Yuna was finished creating the key. As soon as the last seal was in place, the whole seal array imploded and shrunk into the form of an actual key. Next, she approached the cage that contained a clearly excited Kurama and started to slowly remove the seal tag that was above the keyhole of the cage. Just a moment before she could take it off completely, one of the chakra sources inside of it started to move and manifested into a taller version of Naruto, who immediately grabbed Yuna's hand to stop her from removing the seal. You shouldn't remove that. This man was Minato Namikaze, the deceased fourth Hokage and the twins' father. Minato had been watching the world through Yuna's eyes, yet he had no idea what to make of it. Because he couldn't see what was going on in Yuna's mindscape, he could only judge her by what she's done while living in Konoha. She was clearly not a normal child, having knowledge and abilities she shouldn't have yet, and clearly a lot of experience with surviving. On the other hand, she did everything she could to protect Naruto, who clearly was a normal child from Minato's perspective. Although he was doubtful of her, he was thankful as well. Freeing the Kyuubi is, however, a completely different matter. No matter what kind of lies the Kyuubi has fed her, Minato had to convince her not to unseal him. Having already went through a dozen scenarios of the conversation, what Yuna did next completely shattered his plans. She rolled her eyes at him and started talking. Yeah, father, let's talk about that another time since you need to hug someone now. He expected Yuna to be under the Kyuubi's influence, filled with rage and barely conscious, yet she greeted him casually and even knew who he is? What was going on? Before he could think too deeply about that, however, a yellow-orange bullet hug tackled him to the ground. Father. Getting tackled, Minato instinctually started to counterattack when suddenly his mind registered what Naruto had called him and stopped mid-attack. Father? But Yuna is right there. Is that Naruto? Why is he here as well? Is their mindscape connected? However, seeing the sobbing Naruto who was currently hugging him, he quickly pushed the unnecessary thoughts away and started to hug Naruto back to soothe him. Unfortunately for him, Yuna used that moment of distraction to quickly take off the seal, push the key inside the keyhole and open up the cage. Minato's eyes immediately widened in terror. What have you done? Why did you set that monster free? Minato quickly moved in front of Yuna to defend her from the Kyuubi's attacks, but to his surprise, the expected attacks never came. Even though the cage had already vanished, the Kyuubi was still laying on the ground, looking at him like he was an idiot. What is going on? Why isn't? What is going on? Before Minato could fully think through the situation, another person had appeared. Crimson-red long hair and purple eyes. The twins' mother, Kushina Uzumaki. When she felt that the seal was being lifted, she was naturally ready to help Yuna to get control of the Kyuubi's chakra, but she had no idea what to make out of the current situation. Yuna doesn't seem to be under the influence of the Kyuubi at all. Why are Naruto and Minato here as well, and most importantly, why isn't the Kyuubi attacking us? Kushina was just about to ask some more questions when she received the same treatment as Minato. Mother. A hug tackle to the ground. She reacted much faster than Minato and immediately hugged Naruto back. Although she doesn't understand the situation, that doesn't matter for now. While Kushina was distracting Naruto, Minato quickly approached Yuna to understand the situation. Yuna, what is going on here? Why isn't that monster attacking us? Yuna could see, out of the corners of her eyes, that Kurama was slowly getting angry at constantly being called a monster, so she decided to quickly explain everything. Well, long story short, I became friends with the Kyuubi. I got him out of the cage so he can roam my mindscape freely and he won't try to break out of my body in return. Minato, instead of calming down, became even more outraged. What? You became friends with that monster? There is no way you can trust it. It will stab you in the back before dash. Kurama's last drop of patience finally ran out. Well, he never had any of those drops anyway. Stop calling me a monster already. Do you even know what you are talking about, the butcher that is called the Yellow Flash? 1,000 people. You killed that many people in the span of a single day, yet I am the monster? Minato was about to interject with his own words, but Kurama wasn't done yet. Madara, that bastard, hunted me down, enslaved me with those disgusting eyes of his, and then forced me to fight in his retarded lover's quarrel with Hashirama, yet I am the monster? That Hashirama bastard hunted down not only me, but also all of my siblings, imprisoned us, and then gave us away as presents for the other villages, yet I am the monster? As soon as I get another chance to finally be free, yet another person arrives and forces me to fight. Do you truly think I give a damn about your shitty little village? Another 200 years later and it will be gone anyway. Destroyed by the greed of other humans, like every one of the civilizations you have managed to create so far. I have been imprisoned for over 50 years now. In those years not a single word was spoken to me. Yuna was the first person who talked with me normally in centuries and so we became friends. I thought I could stand your presence for Yuna's sake, but I really can't take it anymore. Without saying another word, Kurama turned around and left for the forest, leaving a rather awkward silence behind. You made him angry. It will take me a while to calm him down. The first one to get out of their stupor was Minato. Was that true? I mean, what it said. First of all, he, not it, and I am pretty sure you can answer this yourself. He didn't exactly tell you any secrets. Look at Konoha's history and you will know the truth. Minato winced upon hearing this. He never bothered to think too deeply about how the bijous are treated, but now that he heard it from another perspective, it really was messed up. He can't even argue against it, since it is literally written in Konoha's history books like that. He probably doesn't care about that, but I hope you can tell him that I would like to apologize for calling him a monster. Sure. He will probably pretend to not care about it, but will secretly be happy you apologized. You sure seem to know him well, huh? I do. However, enough with the pleasantries. I believe we need to talk about something. Just the two of us. Minato's face grew serious after hearing Yuna's comment. Indeed, I want to know who the person in front of me really is. It seems like she is willing to tell me, that is good. Kushina, Naruto, I need to discuss something in private with Yuna. Although Kushina knew what Minato wanted to discuss with Yuna, she would rather spend some more time with her children instead of wasting time discussing serious matters. She was just about to start scolding Minato when Naruto hugged her even harder. Don't worry, Ka-san. If it is Nei-san, she will have a reason for talking in private. There really isn't much Kushina can say about that. Naruto seems to trust her completely and from what she has seen so far, there was no reason to put any doubt in her either. Fine, then I will just stay with you. Naruto only nodded while enjoying the time with his mother. What no one noticed, however, was that after seeing Kurama's outburst Naruto made a certain resolve for himself. I will definitely become his friend. Meanwhile, Minato and Yuna were walking into the forest and stopped after being out of hearing range. So, tell me, Yuna, who are you? Chapter 23, Who are you? Who are you? Minato had a serious expression on his face. It was rather obvious that he didn't believe for a moment that Yuna was actually his daughter. No need to be all serious with me. Let me show you. Yuna's body started transforming, she grew bigger and more mature. Her hair became ice blue while her eyes got the same color. Her beauty reached a whole different level and she had the demeanor of someone important without even trying. This is how I originally looked like in my past life, but you can still call me Yuna. Although Minato was stunned by the sudden transformation, he quickly got his wits back after hearing her sentence. Past life? As in, you have memories from your previous life? Indeed. A life without chakra, but other energies instead. Even if I had no experience in using chakra, you probably saw that my experience helped me quite a lot with surviving. Yes, I certainly saw that and I am thankful that you protected Naruto all the time, but I still haven't asked you the most important question, yet. Yuna only nodded in understanding. She pretty much knew what question Minato would ask. If she was in his shoes, she would ask the same thing, after all. What happened to my daughter? While asking that question, he lowered his stance and clearly made himself ready to attack. Yuna, however, was unbothered. She was still relaxed and didn't show any tension at all. Nothing. Nothing? You will need to tell me a bit more than that before I can understand the situation. Okay. How should I put it? Your daughter never existed in the first place. I am an anomaly in this world. With me being here, Kushina birthed twins. If I wasn't here, Naruto would have been an only child. Why are you so sure about that? Before we were born, a certain fate wanted to attach itself to Naruto and me. I tried to push it away and it worked out easily. That fate was clearly not meant for me, that is why I think that I am not supposed to be here. Minato, however, didn't answer her. He was staring at Yuna in complete and utter shock. Isn't he reacting a little too much to this? I guess it is pretty surprising, but he is clearly overreacting. So, Naruto really is the child of prophecy. Yuna almost coughed up some blood after hearing that. She hated prophecies and now her little brother was somehow caught in one. Whatever you do, please don't bother telling me about it. I have no interest in something that is this unreliable. Unreliable? Why do you think they are unreliable? I don't think they are unreliable. I know they are. Nothing good has ever come from trying to follow a prophecy. Just make sure you live your own life well. There is no need to hunt down any prophecy. I admit that I am rather happy to hear that. I would rather not have something force Naruto to become some kind of hero. Indeed, who wants to become a hero anyway? That is way too much trouble. Indeed. After I became Konoha's hero, just walking around the village became more and more annoying. After thinking of the village, Minato's face yet again turned serious. What do you plan to do with the village? The village? Nothing. I find it amusing how all those insignificant ants pile up their hatred on me, but as long as they don't do anything regrettable, then I won't bother with them. Minato couldn't help but sigh in relief after hearing that. Having Yuna as Konoha's enemy would be very dangerous. But Minato, there is no way I will compromise about Danzo. He will die one day, whether it is by my hand or through someone else's, I will get rid of him. Minato, however, was completely indifferent to that. Or rather, he approved of it. Good. Get rid of him. I hope you can do so as soon as possible. I don't even dare to imagine what kind of horrible life my little Naruto would have lived without you by his side, and all of that would have been Danzo's fault. There was rage clearly visible on his face while saying those words. Yuna had worse news for him though. I am rather confident that Danzo was somehow involved in your death as well, you know. What? What do you mean? What relation has Danzo with the masked guy that attacked us? No clue, but what I know after reading through what happened in Konoha in the last 15 years is that someone is slowly but surely getting rid of everyone that could stop a certain mummy from becoming Hokage. Minato naturally knew that Danzo wanted the Hokage seat, but he couldn't believe that he would actually get rid of the competition in such a vicious way. There is no way he would do that. Oh? He wouldn't? Then let me ask you something, how did Sakamoto Hatake die? As far as I know he committed suicide, after failing a miss. Minato didn't even bother to continue that sentence. He himself knew how laughable that was. One of Konoha's best shinobi commits suicide because he failed a single mission. I should apologize to Kakashi. How did I not notice that? Next case, Tsunade Senju. She lost the two people most important to her in a very short time frame, and in both cases, she arrived just a little bit too late to save them. Not as laughable as Sakamoto's case, but still suspicious. Do I even need to go on? One of the Hokage's sons. The Uchiha clan. I wonder where all the Senju clan members went as well. Why did that masked person know exactly when Kushina would give birth? Who is currently trying to make us obedient with harassment so he can control us? Okay, stop, I got it. Why are you even telling me all of this? It is not like I can do anything to help you deal with the problem. A crafty smile appeared on Yuna's face, and Minato felt that he somehow managed to walk into a trap. How about teaching me some useful jutsu? The public library doesn't have any, and the one in the academy only has weak stuff. I would rather not have to sneak into the Hokage Tower to get my hands on the good stuff. Minato was actually a little relieved by that request. For some reason, he expected something more outrageous. That is natural, no problem. Please teach them to Naruto as well when you think it is suitable to do so. Naturally. Okay, good. The easiest way for you to get your hands on a proper jutsu library is to enter my previous home. Kushina and I built a small private library and hid it away with seals. I don't think anyone in Konoha can manage to find it. Well, Jiraiya might be able to find it, but he usually is too busy doing research. Excellent, please tell me how I can get there. This should be useful. Don't worry, I will teach everything to Naruto properly. Yeah, I have noticed that you are experienced in teaching. I didn't expect my son to be this strong at such a young age without me by his side. Of course, don't worry about that. Afterward, Minato explained to Yuna how to reach the secret library and how to open it, then they returned to Kushina and Naruto, who were engrossed in their own conversation. While approaching them and hearing their conversation, Yuna only had a single thought: I really hope that verbal tick doesn't stay with Naruto permanently. Chapter 24, Meeting Kurama, again. Four people were currently happily talking with each other inside a clearing of a huge forest. At first glance, it looked like two children that were talking to their parents, but if someone were to listen in on the conversation and take a closer look, it would rather feel like three adults listening to the rambling speech of a single child that was excitingly telling them about his adventures. Minato, Kushina, and Yuna were currently listening to Naruto's stories of how he explored certain parts of Konoha or played a prank at someone that annoyed him with fond smiles. Minato had already given Kushina a rough explanation on who Yuna was, and it seems like Kushina decided that Yuna was some kind of second mother to Naruto, which could more or less be considered correct, considering how much Yuna has supported him so far. So, the three parents were currently listening to Naruto explain how he has lived his life so far. All of it. Unfortunately, a short while after Naruto's explanation finished, Minato's chakra ran out and he had to leave. This naturally was followed by a sea of tears from Naruto. It took Kushina quite a while to pacify him, but in the end, she managed to do so. This time, it was Kushina's turn to tell Naruto about her life. All of it. Again. Although Yuna's eyebrow was heavily twitching at the end of it, she endured the exposition onslaught for Naruto's sake. A very long time later, Kushina had used up all her chakra as well, and it was time for her to leave. Before she disappeared, she gave the twins a hug, while saying a few more words. Live well, my children. While Naruto started crying even harder, Yuna could only offer Kushina a wry smile. Even Yuna's grandchildren had grandchildren older than Kushina. Not treating Kushina like a little brat was all the concessions Yuna was willing to give her. After Kushina vanished as well, it was Yuna's turn to pacify the crying Naruto. Sniff. Sorry, Ne-san. Sorry? What are you sorry about? For crying like that? Yuna could only roll her eyes at him. If you want to cry, then cry. As long as it helps you get over your sadness, then there is nothing shameful about that. Just never forget to always keep moving forward, no matter the situation. Alright, Nei-san. I understand. Naruto gave Yuna a happy smile, and even though there was still some sadness in it, Naruto seems to have calmed down a little. Well, Naruto, are you ready for the last meeting of the day? The QB part that is sealed inside me, right? Yes, I am ready. Good, then let's go. Naruto and Yuna made their way back out of the forest and entered the sewer system, which is currently the representation of Naruto's mindscape. The deeper they walked in, the deeper Naruto's frown became, until he couldn't take it anymore. Nei-san, I really need to change this place. This is way too gloomy. I know, right? Don't worry. A few months of training and you should be able to change it however you like. Do you already know what you want to do with it? Of course, Nei-san, I want a huge ocean and an equally huge beach. Oh? Where did you get that idea? Naruto actually blushed a little before answering. I saw a beach in a book and it looked really cool. Yuna couldn't help but smirk at that. Changing one's own mindscape into something just because you saw it once and thought it would be cool is a very Naruto-ish idea. In the end, however, it doesn't really matter. Your mindscape should be something you can use to relax in, after all. What it looks like is, at the end of the day, not something you should fuss about too much. Don't worry, Naruto. Just do it however you like. After a few more minutes of walking, they reached yet another cage, with yet another giant fox in it. Kurama naturally noticed the twins enter as well, and as soon as he spotted Yuna, he gave her an annoyed look. Yuna could only smile wryly at that. After all, she can't just forcefully enter another person's mindscape without dealing some permanent damage to it, and if she went in with Naruto's permission, Naruto would naturally meet Kurama as well. So, until now, Yuna really had no chance to visit the other half of Kurama. Kurama naturally knew that as well, but he decided to be angry at Yuna anyway. He, however, decided to at least play the act of not knowing Yuna to keep her secrets. Two brats? What do you want from me? Yuna was just about to answer when Naruto boldly stepped forward. After walking a few steps further, he stopped, lifted his hand, pointed it at Kurama, and boldly made his declaration. I want to become your friend. Yuna and Kurama both stared at Naruto, completely dumbfounded. Kurama's first thought was that Yuna told Naruto to say that, but considering she was actually dumbfounded for once, he quickly denied that option. He usually would have started to throw curses at Naruto, but Kurama was still a little confused about the current situation, so he asked a question instead. Why? Because your other half said that it was really boring to be sealed away for all those years. Even if I can't let you out of my body, I at least don't want you to be bored all the time. Your other half can see through Nei-san's eyes. I bet if I try really hard, I can let you see through mine as well. Nei-san also said that she will teach me how I can change my mindscape so it doesn't look so dreary anymore. I will build you a really nice place to relax in. So, what about it, will you be my friend? Kurama was still completely dumbfounded. Naruto was not the first human to approach him with all kinds of promises, but the eyes of those humans were always filled with greed and deceit. Naruto's eyes, however, were filled with nothing but innocence and honesty. Naruto genuinely wanted to become his friend, because he thought that it would help Kurama out of his boredom. If it was Yuna spinning that tale, he would think that she is skilled enough to trick him. However, there is no way a normal child was capable of that. So, he did the only thing he could think of. He started laughing. The situation was just too ridiculous. First, Yuna appears and becomes his friend by earning his trust and respect, and now the little brother appears and overwhelms Kurama with his innocence and will to help others. Wahahaha, very well, brat. Show me what you can do. Being acknowledged by me isn't easy. Let's see what you can do. Naruto's face was filled with a surprising amount of conviction as he gave his answer. Don't worry, I will do just that. I will have you acknowledge me and then I will have you give me your name, just you wait. Hahaha, good. I can't wait. Naruto gave Kurama another nod and then started walking away from Kurama. Meanwhile, Yuna was still standing at the entrance of Kurama's room, while having absolutely no clue what just happened. Did Naruto just convince him to be friends? How did that even happen? Could someone please explain the situation to me? How did an 8-year-old convince someone this old to be friends? Well, I guess they aren't really friends yet, but they are clearly on a good path. What the hell? This was the first and certainly not the last time Yuna experienced the most powerful of all techniques in Naruto's arsenal. The Talk no Jutsu. Chapter 25, A Teacher's Bad Day. Saito Kairakuta was rather satisfied with his new class of students. There were quite a few clan heirs in it, after all. Aburame, Nara, Inazuka, Yamanaka, Akimichi and, most importantly, Uchiha. It felt like all the big clans decided to have children at the same time. Saito, naturally, wouldn't complain about that. He was actually really happy about it. It was a great glory to teach a class filled to the brim with the geniuses of the new generation. 20 years in the future, when all these people made it to the top of their respective clans, he will get a lot of bragging rights. Unfortunately, with the good also comes the bad. He actually has both the demons and their little follower in his class. When he first saw that these two would be in his class, he became rather disgusted by it. He didn't want anything to do with the damned demons, after all. This quickly changed, however, when one of his acquaintances said that he would pay him money if he harassed the demons during class. How could he not agree to that? It clearly was a win-win situation for him. Saito couldn't help but chuckle in glee when thinking about the test he would return today. It was an incredibly easy test, and as he had expected, everyone easily got a passing mark. That, of course, excludes the two demons whose test he changed with a genjutsu. Both of them got 0 points, which was obviously something he was going to mock them for. As soon as he entered the teacher's office, he felt like there was a rather weird atmosphere, but he decided to not let it bother him too much. He was just about to greet one of his female colleagues when her eyes snapped towards him and disgust filled her face. "Damn pervert." She said these 2 words and then walked away to her classroom. Saito, naturally, had no idea why he was insulted like this and noted down for himself to find out what exactly that was about. He was just about to sit down on his seat when he noticed the cover page of a certain magazine poking out of his desk. With a speed that might even shock the yellow flash, he closed the cupboard and quickly glanced around the room. There were quite a few eyes, that were filled with scorn, currently pointed at him, and he couldn't help but have his whole head turn red in a combination of anger and embarrassment. Who the hell put that magazine there? This can't be mine, since my copy is safely, ***, since there is no way I would read something like this. Is someone playing a prank on me? Shit, it will take a while to restore my good name after this. There was nothing he could do about it right now, so he decided not to be bothered by it and deal with it later. He was already determined to bring whoever played this prank on him to justice. Unfortunately for him, he was paying too much attention to the magazine incident and didn't notice the pins that were spread all over his chair. As soon as Saito sat down, he shot up again with a howl of pain. Something that earned him even more weird looks from his colleagues. Who knows what kind of weird ideas they were having at this point. Shit, there is definitely someone that is trying to mess with me. First the magazine and then the pins. Whatever, I will investigate these matters after classes are over. For now, I'll drink a cup of coffee and then go to my class. I can't wait to humiliate those 2 demons for being the only ones that failed the test. The coffee tastes a little weird. Oh well, I will report this after the classes are over, as well. Seriously, can the people responsible for organizing stuff like that get anything right? How can they put coffee, which has gone bad, into the teacher's office? Seriously, how irresponsible. After finishing his coffee, despite it tasting slightly weird, Saito made his way to his classroom. As soon as he stood in front of the door, he sneered in disdain. Really? A chalk sponge above the door? There is no way a shinobi would fall for something this childish. Saito opened the door to the classroom with confidence, and as soon as the sponge started to fall, he easily caught it with his hand. He was just about to boast that something like that would never work on a ninja when... Splat! A cake appeared out of nowhere and was smashed straight into his face. This, naturally, caused the whole class to erupt into laughter. Seeing someone confidently catch a prank just to be hit by a cake moments later was too hilarious for most people not to laugh at. Saito, on the other hand, was enraged. He saw the whole class laugh at him and he felt like his authority was completely shattered. He felt like from this moment on, these children won't respect him anymore. He needed to get his authority back as fast as possible. He needs to find the culprit. Fast. Silence. Who did this? Unfortunately for him, the only answer he got was silence. It was not like the students wanted to protect the one who played the prank. The problem was that they had no idea who did it. The chalk sponge seemed to have appeared out of nowhere, while the cake seemed to have done so as well. Even if they wanted to name a culprit, they truly had no idea who did it. Saito also noticed that no one seems to know anything and could only gnash his teeth in anger. He tried to clean his face as well as he could and then started class. Anyway, I have already graded your tests and I have to say, I am rather disappointed in a few of you. If you can't even pass a test as simple as this, then you truly are not fit to be a shinobi. If you fail a test as simple as this, then you might as well quit trying to be a shinobi right here and now. These words got quite a few people curious. Most of them had the same thoughts. Who could actually fail a test this simple? Yuna and Naruto, on the other hand, almost burst out into laughter. They thought that their meddling with the tests could cause some problems for their teacher, but this went far beyond what they expected. After the twins' corrections, there was not a single person that actually passed the test. That meant that their teacher just declared that everyone in this classroom shouldn't bother even attempting to become a shinobi. Saito has just finished handing back the tests when he felt something grumbling inside his stomach. He quickly made some excuses so he could leave the class and then quickly left to find a bathroom. He didn't even notice the faces of his students that realized that their teacher just told every single person in the class that they are not fit to be a shinobi. Chapter 26, ICE. The next few weeks really couldn't have gone any worse for Saito Kairakuta. The day after he returned the test, a horde of angry parents arrived at school, demanding an explanation as to why he told their children to stop becoming shinobis. Worst of all was that there were quite a few jonin in that group, which almost caused Saito to faint out of fear. He didn't even know what he was supposed to say. He didn't remember saying something like that at all. It took him almost an hour to finally understand the whole story, and when he did, he almost coughed out blood. Telling the heirs of 5 big clans that they should stop becoming shinobi certainly wasn't a good thing. He already felt quite lucky that he didn't kill himself with a few kunai in his back last night. It took him a long time and a lot of begging until he managed to pacify the clan heads and convince them that someone was trying to mess with him. If someone were to ask him what the worst part of the last few weeks was, he would only answer with a single word: cake. Every time he enters the class, a cake hits him in the face. He comes in while ducking. Cake. He opens the door, steps into the room, and then immediately jumps to the side. Cake. He jumps in through the window. Cake. For once, he didn't get hit when entering the class and sits down on his seat. Cake. He was completely bewildered by it. He just couldn't get his head around how someone could predict his way of entry perfectly every day. He, of course, didn't understand that Yuna was the one controlling everything inside the classroom with the seal array she set up after her first day at the academy. Yuna, naturally, had a goal in mind. Whenever Saito threw an insult at either Naruto, Hinata, or herself, he would be hit by a cake the very next day. She wondered if she could condition him to have an urge to wash his face the moment she insults the trio. Or maybe something along the lines of wanting to eat a cake whenever he insulted them. Yuna, on the other hand, had already lost interest in the academy. The last few weeks pretty much consisted of only loyalty classes, to make sure everyone is willing to fight to the death for Konoha. Yuna didn't condemn them for this. The best way to get soldiers loyal to yourself is by starting the conditioning early, after all. Even in her previous life, stuff like that was pretty normal. The first thing everyone learns, as soon as they enter a cultivator sect, is how amazing that sect is and how advantageous it is to serve the sect. Instead of putting much focus on the academy, she spent a lot of time inside the secret library that Minato told her about. The house itself was left untouched for all these years. The barrier surrounding it was still standing when Yuna arrived. As someone who shared blood with both Minato and Kushina, she didn't even have to unlock the barrier, it just let her in. Since it seemed like a pretty decent place, Yuna searched for the core of the seals protecting the building and easily took control of it. It didn't even bother resisting her. She just had to drip a drop of blood onto it and she immediately got control. She also noticed that there were a few attempts at breaking into the residence without anybody noticing. One doesn't need to be a genius to figure out who is responsible for that. The library had a different set of protections, but with Minato's instructions it opened up just as easily. Unfortunately, the library didn't have much information about jutsus. Kushina always preferred to use the Uzumaki clan's adamantine sealing chains in combination with her own seals, while Minato used the second Hokage's Flying Thunder God technique in combination with something he created himself, the Rasengan. Unfortunately, the book only had a rough description of how the Flying Thunder God technique worked, since it was officially one of Konoha's S-rank jutsu. Seriously, Minato, being loyal to the village is fine, but you could at least write down how the jutsu works for your children. Oh, well, at least I got the Rasengan. The Rasengan, however, turned out to be rather disappointing. Yuna just read through the instruction on how to master it and 5 minutes later, she had a blue sphere of chakra spinning around on top of her hand. Yuna spent quite a while every day honing her chakra control, so a jutsu that literally only needed chakra control was very easy for her to learn. For a moment, she had the urge to smash the blue glowing ball of chakra into something to see how powerful it was, but she suppressed it for now. She had to find out how strong it actually was when she wasn't inside a library. After finishing the scroll she was currently reading, she picked up the next one and instantly got curious about it. The scroll was simply labeled as Kekei Genkai. Yuna, naturally, already knew what this was. It was basically a mutation that allowed someone to use techniques that should be impossible to use. So far, the only ones she had seen were the Sharingan and the Byakugan, but she also knew that there were people that could use chakra natures that actually don't exist. This actually includes ice, which she has tried to recreate for years now, but no matter how she manipulates her chakra, the result is always the same. No matter what she does, it always ends as one of the 5 chakra elements, yin, yang, or without nature. No matter what she tried, she just couldn't create ice chakra. Yuna casually started to read the scroll, not expecting too much from it, but as soon as she finished reading the first sentence, she dropped the scroll out of shock. A Kekei Genkai means that someone has a mutation in their genes that allows them to use 2 chakra nature at once, combining them into one. Are you telling me I just need to combine chakra natures to get something else? What kind of weird game of mix and match is this? Yuna didn't even bother to finish reading the introduction, she immediately started to skip through the scroll, to find what she was looking for. A few seconds later, she found it. The information she was looking for since she was reborn, water plus wind equals ice. The moment she got that information she got up and left the house. She was rather happy that it was the start of the weekend, so she had a lot of time to experiment. She quickly returned home and only left a piece of paper on the table stating that she won't be home during the weekend. She quickly made her way towards one of the training grounds and as soon as she arrived her hands lit up with chakra and she started to carve a complex array of seals into the air. This array will prevent her from getting disturbed during her experiments. As soon as she finished the seal array, she sat down cross-legged in the middle of it and started to calm her mind. Yuna lifted her right hand and caused a blob of water chakra to appear on it. While attempting to regain her control over ice, Yuna spent quite a lot of time messing around with water elemental chakra. She felt like it was the element that was the closest to ice, so it became her strongest element. Then, Yuna lifted her left hand and generated a mode of wind chakra. Although she wasn't as proficient with it as with water chakra, it was still her second best element simply because fire, earth, and lighting don't really fit into her image of ice. Then she lifted both her hands and started to slowly push the 2 chakra types into each other. The reactions were just as she expected them to be, the two chakra natures repelled each other, making it seemingly impossible to fuse them. Yuna, however, didn't mind that at all. The first step towards doing the impossible is always a complete failure. If it wasn't, people might think that it was possible to do it, after all. For a split second, a smile filled with insanity and pure glee appeared on Yuna's face, just to disappear and be replaced with an emotionless face that only showed deep concentration. Finally, a path to regain control over my ice. Chapter 27, Caught in the Act. It has been 2 days since Yuna set up her sealing array. She is still sitting down cross-legged in the middle of it, with her two hands pointing at each other. The only thing different from her initial position was that instead of having two different chakra natures constantly fighting each other between her palms, there was now a small piece of ice that was constantly changing shape. At first, it was changing at a snail's pace, but the more time passed, the faster the progress became until Yuna could easily change its shape in a fraction of a second. After reaching that level, she opened her eyes with a satisfied smile on her face. That went reasonably well. I can already control small amounts with ease. A few more weeks of training and I should be able to start with bigger amounts of chakra. You do realize that what you did should literally be impossible, right? Yuna only scoffed at that remark. It might be impossible for others, but as long as it involves ice, I have the confidence to do it. I don't think I can recreate the other Kekii Genkai like this, but I don't really care about them anyway. You truly are a monster, aren't you? Haha, that's right. After finishing her training, Yuna quickly went back home. However, the moment she entered, she heard Hinata's scream. What is going on? Is someone using my absence as a chance to attack us? No, that is impossible. The defensive seals I put into the flat are still fully functional. Luckily, I still made it back in time. After quickly moving through the flat, she reached the living room and saw a rather unexpected scene. Hinata and Naruto were currently laying on the ground, on top of each other, in the middle of the living room. Yuna quickly scanned the room for enemies and immediately realized what was going. The corner of the carpet in the middle of the room was flipped over. Did Naruto trip over the carpet? What kind of shinobi trips over a carpet? However, their current position could easily be misunderstood. A mischievous smirk appeared on Yuna's face as she swiftly approached the duo. Sorry Hinata, I just tripped over the carpet. Don't worry about it, Naruto, I am fine, Hinata, however, stopped talking as she saw Yuna approaching from the side. Hinata saw Yuna's face and immediately paled in horror. Naruto naturally got concerned for Hinata and wanted to ask what was wrong with her. Before he could do so, he saw something approach from the side. Seeing the crimson-red hair from the corner of his eyes, he paled in a similar fashion to Hinata did. Oh my, to think I would find the two of you hugging passionately on the floor the moment I enter the living room. The duo paled even more after hearing Yuna's teasing while simultaneously thinking the same thing. She will use this against us for months. I need to explain the situation quickly. Yuna/Nasan, that's not it, Naruto/I just tripped over the carpet. Hinata and Naruto despaired even further after they gave their explanation in sync. They knew they were done for. As they expected, Yuna's grin widened even more. Oh my, you are even talking in sync, truly two lovebirds. Naruto and Hinata didn't even need to talk with each other to know their situation. They were already done for. No matter what they said, it would be used against them, so they did the only thing they could think of. They got into a fighting stance and attacked Yuna while again having the same thought. If I beat her up hard enough, she might forget about it. Huh, good, come at me together and show me the power of your love. Although this sentence caused both of them to stagger for a moment, they quickly caught themselves and started charging at Yuna even more fiercely. The fight ended like it did every time. Yuna defeated Naruto and Hinata, but she at least let them get in a few attacks so they could vent some frustration. After they finished their fight, Yuna told them that she is happy that their relationship has advanced and then went to her own room to leave the two alone with each other. Naturally, she was attacked by them yet again after saying that. You really enjoy teasing those two, huh? Of course. Nothing more fun than teasing those you are close to. However, aren't you worried? Worried? About what? About Hinata falling for Naruto. Why would I be worried about that? If she does, then it's fine, and if she doesn't, then that's fine as well. She can choose whoever she wants. Huh? Weren't you grooming her to be part of your harem? Yuna almost coughed up some blood after hearing that. What the hell? When did you get that impression? When you picked up a random girl, removed the cursed seal that was branded her, and then started training her unconditionally? Okay, if you say it like that, it does sound pretty obvious, but I seriously picked her up on a whim. So, you are saying that you don't want her for your harem? Whoa there, let us not say things we might regret later. If she grows up some more and is interested, I wouldn't say no. As expected. Now that I think about it, when we first met, you mentioned multiple times that you want a harem, yet you don't seem to be doing anything to reach that goal. Already changed your plans? As if. There is an order for everything, only the strong can do whatever they want. Before I seek an extravagant life, I need the necessary strength to defend it, after all. Besides, getting an adult woman to trust you enough for her to want a relationship with you isn't exactly easy when you are just 8 years old. That does make sense, I guess. Now, let us discuss what is truly important. Why do I get the feeling that whatever you want to discuss isn't actually truly important? Cough anyway, I need to come up with some good pranks to play on those two. There is no way I will let them get out of this without getting some really good prank out of it. As expected, again. Should I just give Naruto a huge box of condoms for Christmas? No, wait, will he even understand what they are for? Probably not, right? If he doesn't understand the implication, then it isn't funny. Maybe I could just give him my book and then make a knowing smile towards Hinata's direction. Maybe pat his back and give him the, "I know you can do it" look. After plotting a while longer, Yuna quickly fell asleep, and when Yuna finally did so, Hinata and Naruto, in their respective rooms, could finally fall asleep as well. They had some idea why they constantly felt shivers going down their spines and really didn't want to think about it too much. Chapter 28, Decision. Well, this certainly gave me a weirdly split response. On Scribble Hub, almost everyone wants Hinata x Naruto, while on web novel people prefer Yuna x Hinata. Anyway, I have been meditating under a waterfall for the past 20 hours and came to a decision: it will be Yuna x Hinata. Now I will write down a few reasons for my decision. If you aren't interested in that, you can just skip this chapter. I will edit the previous chapter and post a new chapter later today. Reason 1, Naruto and Hinata are completely different from canon. Hinata liked Naruto because he never gave up despite the hardships he went through. My version of Naruto went through almost no hardships and has had a pretty happy life so far. Yes, the people still hate him, but he has learned to just ignore that. Rather than feel love for Hinata, it makes more sense for him to see her as a sister he has grown up with. Family love, if you will. Reason 2, pairing up Hinata with Naruto would significantly reduce her screen time, and that little time she had would mostly be together with Naruto. I want Yuna to interact with Hinata, not with Hinata and Naruto, if that makes sense. Reason 3, I thought about what would be more enjoyable for me to write about. As I have already said previously, I already had a rough outline for Yuna x Hinata. After thinking it through and imagining how both scenarios would play out, I decided that Yuna x Hinata would be more fun for me to write about and hopefully more fun for you to read about as well. That is pretty much it. If you didn't like it, then sorry, this one is final, and if you liked it, then you're welcome. I didn't expect so many people to comment about this and even write lengthy articles to explain their reasoning, and I am really happy that so many people are invested enough in my story despite it still being in the setting up for canon stage. Chapter 29, Sasuke Uchiha. It was the morning of the next day and the trio was currently sitting inside the academy classroom with bored expressions on their faces. Their teacher had just entered their classroom and finished wiping the cake out of his face. He seems to be getting used to the cakes. Should I try out a different flavor next time? So far, I have been going with the classical cheesecake. Maybe a strawberry cake next time? Everyone be quiet, I have an announcement to make. Uchiha Sasuke has not been attending class due to some circumstances. He will be returning today. Yuna, of course, already knew about that. She had felt his presence standing behind the door and was actually wondering why he wasn't coming in. It seems like the teacher, for some reason unknown to Yuna, decided to announce his presence. Well, she kind of knew the reason: he wanted to bootlick. What Yuna couldn't understand was, why would someone bother to bootlick him? The powerful Uchiha clan was gone. All that was left was a single child that a normal genin could probably beat up. Most girls in the class, however, seemed to think differently, as Sasuke entered the classroom under deafening cheers. "URG, please turn down our shared hearing, this is really obnoxious." Instead of answering, Yuna channeled some chakra into her ears to dampen the sound. "Guess that works as well." Yuna gave Hinata and Naruto a glance and saw that they were doing the same. The two clearly weren't impressed by this display either. Seeing the way Sasuke moved and acted, Yuna could only shake her head in exasperation. The higher-ups in Konoha probably wanted him to see someone to heal his damaged mind, but the way he has all that hatred and anger bottled up nicely for later use is a clear indication that he refused all of them. She could only let out a sigh and mutter under her breath. Sigh troublesome. Surprisingly, she was in sync with the person sitting in front of her. A young boy, that had shoulder-length hair, that was tied up into a spiky ponytail, and looked like he was about to fall asleep out of boredom very soon. When Yuna's and his eyes met, however, there seemed to be quite a bit of curiosity in them. The two only gave each other a nod and then proceeded to listen to the lesson that was finally starting after the cheering died down. "Seems like I have found someone interesting." "What do you mean? Wasn't that boy simply bored of what just happened?" "Hee, not at all. Well, okay, he probably was bored, but that isn't the important part. If two normal children went through that kind of situation, how would they most likely react?" Although Kurama still had problems understanding humans, he usually tries to imagine how a normal human, that he has got closer to recently, would react. Since Yuna is out, for obvious reasons, he usually imagines how Naruto would react. After thinking for a while, he concluded. They would find it funny. Correct that, however, isn't all. When he turned around, he subtly scanned me and analyzed how I hold myself to get a glimpse of what my personality is like. He has a fast brain and is very talented in analyzing other people, but he hasn't learned how to be more subtle about it, yet. He looks very similar to the current advisor of the Hokage, Shikaku Nara, so he might be related to him. Didn't everyone introduce themselves on the first day? If you knew his last name, you immediately would know his clan. That's true, unfortunately, I wasn't paying any attention to the introductions, because I couldn't be bothered. The class was as boring as always, but it seems like today's second-to-last class was finally something a little different. They were led out of the classroom and onto the training field next to the academy. Alright, I want everyone to run laps around the training field. I want everyone to try to run at least 10 laps, if you can do more, then be free to do so. The trio glanced at each other and then gave a nod in understanding. They naturally wouldn't give it their all. Especially Naruto and Yuna who, considering their abnormal stamina, could probably run laps all day without getting exhausted if they paced themselves properly. And so, they started running laps. Yuna and Naruto would stay near the front of the crowd while Hinata would stay in the lower middle field. It would be suspicious if the two Jinchuriki had low stamina after all. The results of this exercise were rather obvious. Those not born inside a shinobi clan barely made the 10 laps and collapsed afterward, while most of the children from shinobi clans made around 20 and then just stopped. They were exhausted but clearly could keep going if they wanted to. Hinata decided to stop after 14 laps to show everyone that she was barely better than someone from a civilian family, while Naruto and Yuna stopped after 19 laps to show that despite being demons, they actually were no real threat. Of course, the golden boy, Sasuke Uchiha, only stopped after 25 laps to show everyone how powerful he was. Sigh, he's even got an inferiority complex going. I should have just, accidentally, killed him that day. Told you so. Only a dead Uchiha is a good Uchiha. His big brother would probably have come to hunt me down if I did so. That would have been really annoying. That is true, I guess. I really wonder if this damn academy will become useful at some point in time or if it will just stay as useless as it currently is. We spent the first few weeks learning how amazing Konoha is and how the shinobi of other villages enjoy nothing more than eating still living children, and then we had to do this pointless running exercise that could be considered a slightly too extreme warm-up for the shinobi children and an almost impossible task for the civilians. Guess they wanted to show the civilians how superior the noble clans of Konoha are. After another boring class, the school was finally over. While they were going home, however, Yuna stopped and looked in a certain direction. There she could see a black pineapple-looking haircut that was moving in another direction. A smirk appeared on her face as she made a decision. Naruto, Hinata, go ahead without me, I have something to do. Okay, Yuna/Nasan. The two were already used to Yuna doing her own thing, so they didn't even bother asking what she wanted to do. She quickly disappeared into the shadows of a nearby ally and could immediately feel her stalker giving up following her. It has reached a point where the people following her around wouldn't even try to follow her anymore when she decided that she wants some private time. Nara clan, huh? I can't deny that I am a little curious about them now that I have seen their heir. Chapter 30, Shikamaru Nara. Yuna has been following Shikamaru for a while now and couldn't help but chuckle at his antics. He was slowly walking through the streets, while occasionally stopping, just to blankly stare at the clouds for a few minutes. I see. While looking forward and seeing other humans, his head immediately starts to analyze them subconsciously, but when he looks at the sky he doesn't have to do so. This probably makes him enjoy watching clouds since it frees up his thoughts. Are you sure about that? Isn't he just a lazy bum? No, I am pretty sure he is significantly smarter than he lets other people know about. I want to be a cloud. Anyway, let's follow him for now. I investigated Shikaku Nara a little and he could be a useful ally, someday. Even if it turns out that the boy is simply lazy instead of smart, at least meeting Shikaku Nara should be worth the trouble. Won't he just report you to the Hokage? It's probably fine. From what I have experienced so far, the Hokage just seems to be a figurehead or maybe someone else's puppet. In Kushina's memories, I could see that the Hokage actually had a good relationship with Minato. He would have at least shown up in front of us incognito a few times if he wasn't controlled by someone. Even if I get called to him, it's probably fine. I'm not doing anything illegal and the shinobi side of the village isn't stupid enough to believe in baseless rumors and hate me for it. For now, let's follow the boy home and see if I can cause some mischief. As expected, it all boils down to that, doesn't it? Hiruzen Sarutobi was currently cursing Yuna inside his mind. The more he thought about what she had done to him in the last few years, the more vicious the curses became. Why is he cursing her? Because every time a shinobi fails a mission there is a massive amount of paperwork he has to fill out. He naturally wanted to simply remove the mission of guarding Yuna permanently, but the other three elders immediately kicked his door down and told him that it is unacceptable to not have someone guarding their Jinchuriki. Hiruzen immediately stopped cursing Yuna and instead directed his hatred at the three elders. Curse after curse was mentally thrown at those three, and Hiruzen was just about to calm down a little when the ANBU that was assigned to watch Yuna today appeared in his office. Hiruzen's hatred was ignited yet again, as he started cursing Yuna, the elders, and most importantly, the paperwork. It has been another troublesome day for Shikamaru Nara. The day at the academy was, like every day so far, pretty boring. The only thing that keeps him interested in the cake prank. Well, rather than the prank itself, he is interested in how it is done. He was completely mystified how something like this could be set up. He figured out rather quickly that someone has to remote control it somehow, but he has no idea how. No wires, no hidden mechanisms, nothing. He would never admit it in public, but he actually enjoyed solving riddles like this. A riddle he couldn't solve, even after he had been thinking about it for multiple weeks, is certainly rare, and he would get to the bottom of this one day. Today, it was actually extra troublesome at the academy, since they had to run laps instead of just sitting around a classroom. Shikamaru really wanted to stop after 10 laps, but he knew his mother would probably nag him for days if she heard about that. High risk, small reward. Not worth it. Now that he thought about it, something else happened today as well. He met eyes with the girl that has been sitting behind him since the start of the academy, Yuna Uzumaki. She somehow gave off a different feeling than the other children. More mature and composed with deep, calm eyes. There is definitely something unusual about her. I have also heard rumors about her and her twin brother. For some reason, a lot of civilians call them demon twins. Now that I'm actually thinking about it, why is a Hyuga girl with them as well? Another riddle, huh? Might as well give it some thought. After a few more minutes of walking, Shikamaru reached his home. He quickly greeted his parents and was just about to leave for his room, when his mother told him to help with dinner. Shikamaru had no other choice but to nod his head but told her that he wants to change into something more comfortable first. He quickly walked to his room and started changing clothes. Sigh so troublesome. Rather than help mother cook, I would rather watch some clouds. Now, you should spend some time with your mother. It will make her happy, you know. Sigh I know, but it's just so true. Shikamaru froze up completely. Whose voice was that? Where did it come from? Shikamaru quickly spun around to face the origin of the voice. There on his bed, a young girl was lazing around while smirking at him. Is that Yuna Uzumaki? Why is she here? How did she even get in here? Why didn't I notice her at all? What does she want? Shikamaru's brain got completely overflooded with questions. Before he could properly answer a question, 2 new ones would already have popped up. Shikamaru's body, meanwhile, was, yet again, completely unmoving. This was something that can happen to people that are exceptional at analyzing situations. If the situation is too absurd, they simply freeze up. This is something that would never happen to, for example, Naruto. If he doesn't get the situation, he would just push forward. Shikamaru was just about to gather his thoughts when his father opened the door. Shikamaru, your mother won. When he entered Shikamaru's room, he saw a young girl sprawled on his son's bed, while his son had already taken his shirt off and was just about to remove his trousers, as well. Just like Shikamaru before him, he froze up for a moment, but since he was an experienced shinobi unlike Shikamaru, he quickly started to realize what was actually going on. Well, that was, at least, what would have happened, if Yuna didn't pour any oil into the flames. She nervously got up from the bed. She looked incredibly uncertain about the situation and was clearly uncomfortable. As soon as she stood up, she gave a bow towards Shikaku's direction. Hello, Lord Nara. I am in the same class as your son, and today, after class, he ordered me to follow him home, because he wants to have some fun. This time, Shikaku truly froze up, as his mind came to a complete standstill. Shikamaru's condition wasn't much better either, especially if you consider that the color of his face was turning paler by the second. He was, however, already making plans on how to defend his case, while simultaneously making plans on how to survive on the streets of Konoha, in case his father actually believes Yuna and kicks him out of the house. Shikamaru knew that his father wouldn't be frozen like that for long, so he had to quickly structure his arguments. Before one of the 2 Naras could react, however, the sound of 2 knees hitting the ground was heard, followed by 2 hands, and then fa-ha-ha. Loud laughter echoed through the room. The one who was laughing was naturally Yuna. Shikamaru and his father, meanwhile, were completely gobsmacked. They could only stare blankly at the young girl that was currently rolling around on the floor while laughing boisterously. Chapter 31, An Uzumaki Clan Secret. What in the world is even going on right now? Shikamaru Nara was confused. No, he wasn't just confused, he was completely incapable of understanding his current situation. He was currently peeling potatoes with his mother. That part was still fine. He would rather do something else, but he could at least understand why he was doing it. The problem was that a young girl with shoulder-length, crimson-red hair, that was interlaced with blue strands, was currently standing next to his mother as well and was skillfully peeling potatoes, too. "Oh my, dear, you are really good at this." "Yeah, I have been cooking for my little brother since we were 3 after all." Shikamaru could feel anger burst out of his mother for just a moment before it was replaced with sadness. Why did mother get angry just now? Why did she suddenly get sad? No, wait. Why did Yuna have to cook for Naruto when she was only 3 years old? "Shikamaru, your hands stopped moving." Although Shikamaru heard his mother, he didn't answer her. He only nodded his head and mechanically restarted peeling potatoes. He was still deep in thought, coming up with scenario after scenario of what might be the truth. Yuna naturally also noted how the emotions of Shikamaru's mother changed. This immediately gave her quite a bit of information. As expected, this couple probably knows my true identity and they might even have wanted to adopt us or know some people that wanted to do so. Well, I don't need to be a genius to know who blocked that attempt. Hehe, just you wait, Danzo, I will do all kinds of fun things with you when I can finally get my hands on you. Now, no need to worry so much. It's not like I had a bad life so far. Yoshino Nara, Shikamaru's mother, was rather shocked at how easily Yuna not only read her emotions but even interpreted them. Exactly how much does she know about herself? I have heard that she knows about the Kyuubi, but is there more? Does she know about her parents as well? Yuna could more or less guess what she was thinking but decided to not bother her anymore. After they finished making and eating dinner more or less wordless, Yuna decided to finally get to the most important part of today. "Shikaku, do you mind if we talk about something in private?" Although it felt weird to him that such a young girl was casually talking to him with his first name, he simultaneously felt that it was weirdly fitting for her to do so. Shikamaru, on the other hand, had another bomb detonate in his head. He already spent their whole dinner pondering the situation, but before he could even finish thinking, another bomb was dropped. For some reason, Yuna wanted to talk to his father and she even addressed him casually. What the hell? Shikaku pondered over it for a moment and then nodded in agreement. "Let's go into my study, we can talk there." The two quickly stood up and left an utterly stunned Shikamaru behind. He quickly looked at his mother and asked the question that has been bothering him the whole time. What the hell was that all about? You need to be a bit more precise about what you mean for me to answer you. I mean all of it. From start to finish. There was not a single part that made sense. Yoshino pondered a while and then nodded her head. Indeed, if you don't know anything about Yuna, our interactions would probably feel weird. Oh well, not like I can tell any of that to Shikamaru. Well, don't worry about it. I'm going to sleep, I have a headache. Good night. Shikaku and Yuna, meanwhile, climbed up a few stairs and moments later, arrived in Shikaku's study. Yuna scanned the walls of the study and immediately frowned. Do you mind if I upgrade the room a little? Upgrade? What do you mean? I am talking about this. Yuna pulled out a small scroll and unrolled it onto a table. Shikaku immediately noticed that the seals are the same seals a storage scroll uses, but the scroll itself doesn't look like the ones sold in Konoha. Before he could ask any questions, Yuna pushed a bit of her chakra into the scroll and with a puff of smoke, 6 huge paper tags appeared. Every one of these tags had a size of 1 square meter. When Shikaku saw what kind of tags these were, his eyes almost fell out of their sockets. No way, is that a set of privacy seals? These are ridiculously hard to make and obscenely expensive. Where did she get them? Did she get scammed and bought a bunch of fakes? Before Shikaku could sort through his thoughts, Yuna had already accepted his silence as an agreement. In her opinion, there was no reason to reject such a nice offer. It was just a bunch of low-level privacy seals after all. There was no way she would ask for a favor in return for giving such a simple gift, after all. Just like that, a weakness from her past life has shown itself. Yuna had no idea how to handle wealth or even what was considered worth a lot. She could produce the seals easily, so she assumed they weren't worth much. When she doesn't use a henge when shopping, she constantly gets scammed but doesn't even notice it. She notices that the shopkeepers have malicious intentions towards her, but that is pretty much the same for 90% of the village. If the price she has to pay for food is around 5 to 6 digits away from what she actually possesses, she doesn't even bother thinking too much about it. A few seconds later, Yuna had slapped one of the 6 seals on each of the 4 walls, ceiling, and ground, and a few moments later, the paper tags started to glow while the seals painted on them started to wiggle around. They started to move away from their paper tags, and a few moments later, the walls, ceiling, and ground of the whole room were covered in seals. They glowed one last time and then simply vanished. Yuna lifted up a much smaller seal tag and gave it to Shikaku. This is the activation seal, put it wherever you can reach easily. From now on, Shikaku could activate the privacy seal whenever he wanted to. What Yuna didn't mention, however, was that she might have, completely on accident of course, slipped a few runes in to gather information. Shikaku only stood there, still, completely dumbfounded by an 8-year-old girl that just casually used such an expensive seal inside his room. Where did you even get that seal from? Yuna pretended to ponder that question for a moment and then quickly gave her prepared answer. She gave Shikaku a mischievous smile and answered him. Uzumaki clan's secret. Shikaku could only groan at that answer. 3 simple words, yet there was a massive number of implications behind them. The easiest one to handle would be if Yuna simply found some Uzumaki clan scrolls somehow, and the hardest one to handle would probably be that an adult from the Uzumaki clan has somehow survived and has secretly come in contact with Yuna. He could already feel that he would, without a doubt, have a headache after this conversation was over. Chapter 32, Re-establishment. No need to make a face like that, Shikaku. I don't mind revealing a few things about me under certain conditions. And what are these conditions? I want to meet the Hokage in secret and bring one additional person with me. A person that has helped me a lot. Although Shikaku seemed calm on the outside, he was cursing his bad luck on the inside. Shit, so she really has had someone to help her secretly all these years. Was it really an Uzumaki clan member? Why would you want to meet the Hokage? To find out whether he can be trusted or not. Shikaku immediately stood up in outrage. Of course, he can be trusted. Yuna, however, only looked at the angered Shikaku with indifference. Since it seems so obvious to you, please tell me, why should I trust him? Please don't start spouting some nonsense about the previous wars or how he protects Konoha as its Hokage. Why should I, Yuna Uzumaki, as a person, put even the smallest amount of trust into Hiruzen Sarutobi, considering what has happened so far? The room descended into a heavy silence. Yuna simply waited for Shikaku's next words with an indifferent face. Let's see where Shikaku stands in all of this. If he starts to dribble about the will of fire, I'm leaving. If he can see things from my viewpoint, he might actually be worthy of a little bit of my trust, and if he tries to wiggle his way out of the question, then I will just use him until he stops being useful. Shikaku, meanwhile, was still in deep thought. I see, from her perspective, she was abandoned by the village at the age of 3. She has, since then, shouldered everything on her own and in the process even protected her little brother from harm. When she heard Hokage-sama's speech at the academy entrance ceremony and heard him say how he considers the whole village as his family, she definitely wasn't elated like the other children. She probably felt sick hearing it. That was probably the moment she lost her trust towards him, as well. Sigh, what a mess. I see the village has truly wronged you. Yeah, but I stopped giving a shit about that years ago. I am not here to assign blame or seek compensation. I have my own goals, and to reach them, the Hokage's help would be useful, but not strictly necessary. Useful, but not necessary, huh? Since it is something she wants Hokage-sama to help with, it probably isn't something bad for the village. And what are these goals? Knowing what I am dealing with might make it easier to convince Hokage-sama to meet you in secret. Yuna pondered for a while and then nodded her head in acknowledgement. Fair point. I'm willing to tell you the goal that's relevant to the situation, but only if you tell the Hokage about it in this very room. Why would I do that? The Hokage's office also has a privacy seal. Because there is a certain person close to him, that I trust even less than the Hokage. Shikaku's eyes widened for a moment, as the figure of a certain bandaged person came to mind. Does she know about Danzo? How much does she know about him exactly? No, more importantly, did she just hint at Danzo being capable of spying into the Hokage's office? There is no way he would do. He might actually do something like that. While Shikaku was judging whether Danzo really would do something like this, Yuna tried to hide her smirk. Hehe, another little stab at his reputation, and if they actually find something, it will be a pretty good stab, as well. Yuna took out another scroll and casually tossed it toward Shikaku, who, despite being caught off guard, easily caught it. Guess I might as well sweeten the deal a little. Inside that scroll is a sealing tag that helps detect living beings. Just activate it and you should be able to see the presence of people in a radius of 100 meters. It is a one-use item and stays active for about a minute. If everything goes well during the meeting, then these will be sold in Konoha for a reasonable price in the future. Of course, the one I gave Shikaku is a little bit special. I might have, yet again, completely by accident, of course, hidden some seals in there to spy on the Hokage office. Shikaku, meanwhile, had to hold himself back from salivating over the possibility of such a sealing tag. Scouting would be so much easier with this. It would be like every one of our scouts had a limited form of the Byakugan. Since she hinted at there being a spy inside the Hokage office and tossed me a scroll that could detect hidden people seconds later, her intentions are rather easy to read. She wants me to show off the scroll right in front of Hokage-sama, huh? Guess I will have it tested for traps and then I might as well give it a try. There is still something else. Considering Yuna just took out a seal I have never even heard of, the likelihood of another Uzumaki clan member being involved pretty much became 100%. This, however, could be a great chance for Konoha, as well. Having someone from the Uzumaki clan inside the village, who is willing to sell his seals, would be an amazing boon for Konoha. Alright, I agree. I will only speak about this whole conversation with Hokage-sama when I am in this room. Good, here is my goal. I want to re-establish the Uzumaki clan, but this time, as one of Konoha's clans. Yuna had actually been thinking about this for a while now. She wants to establish her own base of power. She might be a powerful individual, but some things are almost impossible to do alone. Especially, when it comes to gathering information. The more she spreads her net, the harder it will be to sort through everything. From what she has heard, the people of the Uzumaki clan are all fiercely loyal to their own families. There will certainly be some survivors from the lands of whirlpools. If these people hear that the Uzumaki clan is gathering again, they will, without a doubt, come over as quickly as possible. As for why she wants to do so inside Konoha instead of the land of whirlpools, she would rather not have her new base of power be overrun by the 3 villages that did it the first time, just a few years after rebuilding it. Shikaku, meanwhile, was busy picking up his jaw from the ground. That was certainly quite the bomb Yuna just dropped on him. I see, re-establishing the Uzumaki clan. That certainly is a grand goal and explains why she wants Hokage-sama's help. The best way to do this is probably to do it stealthily. Collect a lot of members without anybody noticing and then let them have a compound for their clan before anyone even gets a chance to complain. That's probably also why Yuna doesn't want even a single person more than necessary to know about it. It took the combined efforts of 3 villages and heavy casualties to take out the Uzumaki clan the first time. There is no doubt that they'll be far from being that powerful if we manage to gather them now, but having a clan with this much potential would be a great addition to Konoha. Additionally, the Uzumaki never cared for politics or reputation. They just want to have a fun life together with their family. If they can have their children accept Konoha as their family, they will give everything they have to defend it. Hide the Uzumaki clan for as long as possible and when they ultimately get revealed, show the world just how much of their strength they have recovered. That should stop people from getting any funny ideas. This would also give a great boost to Konoha's troops. With the Uzumaki clan inside the village, our shinobi can use seal tags like they use shuriken. Just casually using them without a care in the world. Good. I like it. Having a clan as powerful as the Uzumaki clan will certainly boost Konoha's strength. I will try to convince Hokage-sama to accept the secret meeting. Huh, great, don't worry, Konoha will certainly benefit from this as well. I am looking forward to it. The Uzumaki have always been allies of Konoha, it would be great to re-establish that relationship, as well. Although Yuna sneered inwardly, she still gave Shikaku a happy smile when she answered him. Of course, that would be great. Always been allies? What a joke. Used until no longer worth using is much more fitting. I can't wait until every single seal in Konoha is made by the Uzumaki clan. Let's see how they'll abandon us when that would mean no longer being able to use any kind of seal during battle. They quickly wished each other a good night. Yuna left the Nara clan compound and returned home with a satisfied smile. Spy seals in the Hokage's office and the office of his aide. A pretty good harvest for one night. If I can get that secret meeting, things will get even more interesting. I can't wait to introduce them to the supposed second person I am allowed to bring with me. Chapter 33, Negotiations. It has been a month since Yuna had her conversation with Shikaku, and today was the date of the meeting. Hiruzen and Shikaku were currently inside Shikaku's office and were waiting for Yuna and her mysterious support to arrive. They both had rather conflicted expressions on their faces. The very next day, after Shikaku met with Yuna, he had some people analyze the ceiling tag for traps, and after finding nothing suspicious, Shikaku activated it with Hiruzen's consent inside his office. The result? An additional presence was found inside, and the moment Shikaku wanted to move, the person had already killed itself with poison. Neither Shikaku nor Hiruzen had a single doubt who that person was working for, but had absolutely no way to prove it. They waited another 5 minutes before someone knocked on the door. Hiruzen quickly told the person to enter and the door was opened. The first person to be revealed was naturally Yuna herself. She had a casual smile on her face as she walked into the room, seemingly not the slightest bit pressured by the presence of the Hokage himself. The next person who entered was a very old-looking woman. Her face was marred with wrinkles and her steps were slow and careful. Despite being very old, however, she still had the Uzumaki clan's trademark red color. Her hair, however, had a much lighter color than Yuna's. Shikaku really wanted to curse when she saw the old woman enter. He was hoping Yuna's helper would be someone much younger and easier to influence. This woman, however, seems to be even slightly older than Hokage-sama himself. Then Shikaku met eyes, however, and immediately threw that motion out of the window. Slightly older than Hokage-sama? What a joke. Her eyes are beyond ancient. For just how long has this woman lived? Seemingly noticing his thoughts, the woman looked towards him and started speaking. It's rude to guess a woman's age. Understandably, Shikaku was terrified out of his mind. His face had been kept completely neutral during his thoughts, yet this woman immediately understands what he was thinking. Yuna saw that the performance had a reasonable effect, so she decided to initiate the next step. Now, Grandma Kaien, don't bully Shikaku. Let's start talking. The old woman, Kaien, immediately had a doting smile on her face as she answered Yuna. It is the privilege and enjoyment of the old to scold the young. Princess Yuna, you should let an old woman have some fun. Yuna only rolled her eyes before she answered. Fine, Grandma Kaien. Hiruzen and Shikaku, meanwhile, were slightly disturbed by what just happened. To be more precise, they were disturbed by a single word, princess. They both decided to shelf that for now and ask about it later. For now, they had to greet their guests. Greetings, I am Hiruzen Sarutobi, the current Hokage of Konoha, and this is my aide, Shikaku Nara. Kaien slightly shook her head at that greeting. Oh my, kids nowadays are so stiff. Oh well, the name is Kaien Uzumaki, an old woman that enjoyed teaching kids, when the land of whirlpools still existed. You already know her, but I will introduce her anyway. Princess Yuna Uzumaki, eldest, still living member of the royal Uzumaki bloodline. Although Hiruzen was rather dissatisfied at being called a kid, he somehow knew why this woman was calling him like that. Besides, there were more important things to discuss right now. May I ask, why are you calling Yuna a princess? Kayan only tilted her head in confusion at that question. Because she is? Well, the land of whirlpools is gone, so I suppose it would be more appropriate to say that she was a princess. No, that is not what I had in mind. I would like to know, why are you calling her a princess at all? Kayan seemed to get even more confused at that. Well, she is Kushina's daughter, right? Although reluctant to just reveal such a secret, it was obvious that the other party already knew about it, so he simply nodded. Didn't little Mito tell you anything about who Kushina actually was? Since the chakra of those from the Uzumaki royal family is the best at suppressing the bijou, it is only natural that one of them would be sent to Konoha to reseal the kyubi. Hiruzen almost spat out blood when he heard the term Little Mito. If he had called Mito Uzumaki or rather Mito Senju like that, he certainly would have earned himself a beating, yet the woman in front of him did so casually. That means she is probably from an even older generation than Hashirama Senju himself. For now, however, there were other problems to solve. For example, how Konoha had a royal bloodline in their village, without anyone knowing about it. Kayan, naturally, notices Hiruzen's distress and chuckles a bit. No need to think too deeply about it. The Uzumaki clan never cared too much about that anyway. How about we get to business already? My body isn't the youngest anymore, you know. Hee, second step, taking away all of Konoha's momentum before the negotiations even start. Successful. Now that Hiruzen thinks that Kayan is significantly older than him, he will, out of instinct, be inclined to be more polite to her. Next, the negotiations for the re-establishment of the Uzumaki clan started. Hiruzen didn't even consider not doing so, which allowed them to skip the first pass of the negotiation. All in all, it was a rather boring affair. Yuna had created a seal that would react to members of her bloodline, while Hiruzen would tell a few trustworthy ANBU to carry the seal around when they were on a mission. If they found some Uzumaki clan members, they would explain the situation to them, and if they were interested, they could enter Konoha after dyeing their hair in a different color. If a huge number of people with Uzumaki red hair suddenly enter Konoha, people would certainly get suspicious. For now, those people would only meet in small groups, but as soon as a certain amount of people is reached, the Uzumaki clan would return. In return, the Uzumaki clan would sell their seals to Konoha's shinobi at a premium price. Hiruzen had no illusions that the Uzumaki seals would remain exclusive for Konoha. If pretty much every other nation on the continent demanded to be able to buy those seals as well, then Hiruzen would have no other choice but to agree. Because of this, he was more than satisfied at just receiving a good price. The discussion took them about an hour, and afterward, everyone left the Nara compound with a satisfied expression. As soon as Kayan and Yuna were sure that no one was following them, a similar-looking smirk appeared on their faces and, with a puff of smoke, Kayan disappeared. Seriously, Minato, why did you hide a jutsu this useful in a scroll you labeled awesome ideas for combos and how I could name them? Yuna was truly satisfied with today's meeting. The trade conditions were appropriate, and from now on, Uzumaki clan members would slowly gather in Konoha. That, however, wasn't even the best part. The best part was, without a doubt, that Yuna literally didn't expose any significant secrets about herself. All the abnormal things she did when she was younger would, from now on, simply get the "she got help from an adult" or the "she used a seal she got from her guardian" treatment. Chapter 34, Chains. It has been a year since the secret meeting with the Hokage. At this point in time, Yuna could occasionally see Uzumaki clan members walking on the streets of Konoha. If you know what you have to look at, they are pretty easy to spot. None of them are happy with the color of their hair. Another thing that has slightly changed is that the success rate and accuracy from scouting missions have increased. Yuna has also noticed that Hiruzen had, pretty much all the time, a huge stack of paperwork on his desk, with Yuna actually being responsible for quite a bit of it. She felt, however, that this wasn't her problem. She didn't ask for any guards after all. Hiruzen can just cancel the mission permanently and everything will be fine. In the last few weeks, Yuna felt that something was slowly changing in her body. At first, she simply thought it would be puberty, but that was apparently not the case. Her chakra centrum was slightly changing. There are no reports about this in Konoha's medical records. Yuna, however, had a pretty good guess of what this was about. It's probably the chains, isn't it? Ugh. I would rather you don't awaken them. Sorry, that's not an option. If I can awaken them, then I will. If something can increase my strength, I will naturally use it. Yeah, I know that already. Just like that, Yuna kept meditating, while occasionally poking her chakra centrum with chakra or her will. After another hour of this, she finally felt something change. With an excited grin on her face, she imposed her will on her chakra to form into a chain, but no matter what she tried, the chain just wouldn't form. How weird. My instincts are telling me that I can form my first chain, but something is still missing. She kept pondering a while longer when the realization finally hit her. She almost wanted to hit herself for missing something this obvious. I am not Kushina, why am I trying to form the same chains that she has? Yuna didn't even need to think a second longer to understand what kind of chains she would form. She exerted her will on her chakra yet again, but this time instead of just having it form a chain, she simultaneously had it take on a certain chakra nature. This was not easy, even for Yuna, who already managed to gain a monstrous amount of chakra control, but she didn't mind. Or rather, she was happy about it. She just found another exercise to push herself even further. It took her a whole minute to finally reach her goal. A single crystalline, snow-white chain was coming out of her back. The moment it appeared, the temperature in the room immediately dropped. Yuna, however, was enjoying the cold. For her, there was nothing more calming than breathing in the ice-cold air. Finally. At least they look different. Indeed. Now let's start perfecting it and then I can start working on the second one. Yuna's face distorted in a weird combination of glee and madness. Just how much have I missed this? The exhilarating feeling of getting stronger? And soon, I will finally experience that again, won't I? In this new life of mine, it should be possible again. Ah, just how much longer do I have to wait? Yuna's face twisted even further as she, for the first time in her new life, realized that she could experience what she enjoyed the most, yet again, in her new life. A few weeks later, Yuna was, yet again, lazing around in the academy. Teachers would only teach a class for a single year, so they had a new teacher now, and this one seems to hate the twins significantly less than the previous one. This naturally meant that he would get hit with cake significantly less than the previous one, as well. No one bothered to think too deeply about it, except for one, Shikamaru Nara. He immediately noticed that the cake attacks were significantly reduced and tried to understand the difference between their current teacher and the old one. He easily deduced that the difference was how they treated the twins, and after collecting data for a few more days he confronted Yuna. You are the one responsible for the cakes, right? Yuna, however, only smirked at him and then gave him an answer. Prove it. Shikamaru could only gnash his teeth at that. She basically admitted that she was the culprit, but Shikamaru still couldn't do anything. Just a statistic of two things that seemed to correlate wasn't enough. He needs to find out how it is done. He had to do it to satisfy his curiosity and thirst for knowledge. As for helping out the teachers, he couldn't care less. If they can't even see through the pranks of one of their students, then they deserve to be pranked. Yuna, on the other hand, was currently preparing herself for the arrival of IT. She could already feel IT approaching the classroom, and just as she finished protecting her ears with chakra, IT arrived. Today I'm sitting next to Sasuke Kun. No, I am. No, I. A gaggle of girls stormed the classroom, screeching at each other to sit next to their beloved. Yuna was already getting a headache just from seeing it. Why are these women even at the academy? They clearly just want to become a trophy for some powerful figure and have no interest in becoming shinobi. Well, rather than being a trophy, they probably think they are the princess that gets saved by a knight, air shinobi in golden, black armor, tight-fitting clothing to make it easier to kill people stealthily. For a brief moment, she imagined Sasuke in golden armor with a heroic expression on his face, and she couldn't help but chuckle a little. Unfortunately, that startled the witches. Is there something funny, Idiot Twin. Idiot Twin was the nickname that was given to Naruto and her last year, and Yuna found it rather hilarious. Imagine people that think they will survive a battlefield, because a kid with anger management issues will protect them, calling you an idiot. That was just too hilarious. Yuna was still musing about what to answer when the next person was already pitching in. That's right, idiot, got something to say. Yeah, what? As more and more insults kept being thrown at her, she considered if she should just kill all of them and be done with it, but then decided against it. Might as well have some fun with them. It would be weird if I didn't show some of my capabilities after revealing that someone taught me in secret, after all. Hee, I was naturally thinking about your first real fight. I just couldn't help holding in my laughter when thinking about it. This sentence naturally silenced the crowd, and just a few moments later, the fangirl fraction started to clamor again. So even someone like you understands. This moment will definitely show just how awesome Sasuke-kun is. That's right, SAS. Yuna saw the group getting more and more excited, and when their excitement was at the peak, she finally decided to say a few more words. I know, right? I just can't wait to see what becomes of you after Sasuke defeats his enemy and somehow manages to survive the conflict. Will you simply die instantly due to your incompetence? Will you somehow manage to fight back a few moments and then be defeated, just to be used as sexual relief for the people that attacked you? Maybe you will simply freeze up in the presence of danger, be captured, and then sold as a sex slave later on. So many exciting possibilities, don't you think? After these words, a heavy silence descended onto the room. After a few more seconds of silence, a young girl with long blonde hair that was bound into a ponytail approached Yuna and threw out a punch. There is no way Sasuke-kun would let something like that happen to me. Her fist was aimed straight at Yuna's face. Yuna, however, didn't move at all. She already knew what would happen. Just a moment before her fist reached Yuna's face, another hand appeared and caught the young girl's punch. Don't you dare to hurt my Nasan, Ino Yamanaka. Naruto's pupils actually distorted a little and took on a red hue, while glaring at Ino. Ino, on the other hand, took a few steps back in fear. She has always been treated like a princess, and this was actually the first time someone got angry at her. It took her a few moments to regain her composure. She was just about to retaliate when... Okay everyone, please sit down, the next lesson is starting. Their teacher entered the room and prevented Ino from retorting. She gave another glare at Naruto and Yuna and then left for her seat. Wasn't that pretty damn cute right now? Little brother protecting his sister from harm. Pretty good stuff. You do realize that such a weak punch probably wouldn't hurt you at all, right? Of course, I do, but that wasn't the point. Yuna lifted her hand and started to pet Naruto's head. Well done, little brother, that was really manly. Although Naruto blushed in embarrassment at being treated like a little child, he still had a happy smile on his face due to Yuna's praise. Unfortunately, rumors spread very fast. Especially at a school, so before the school day was over, everyone was already calling Naruto a siscon. Chapter 35, Unleashing the Lioness on a Doting Father. It has been a week since the incident at school, and Yuna was currently sitting inside the Hokage's office with an amused smile on her face. Next to her sat Naruto, who looked really nervous. On the other side of the table sat Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Hokage himself, who was flanked by two blonde people. Ino Yamanaka, whose face was beet red in shame and clearly wanted to be somewhere else, and her father, Inoichi Yamanaka, head of the Yamanaka clan and chief of the memory extraction section of Konoha's TNI department. Hokage-sama, this is unacceptable. Because of those two, my little princess got scared and I demand them to be punished. That's right, he is here for what happened at school last week. Ino had casually told the story to her father, and before Ino knew what was going on, her father had dragged her into the Hokage office to complain about it. She thought her father would give her some advice, but instead, the argument of a few children was brought in front of the Hokage himself. Ino glanced at the Hokage and could clearly see him getting more and more irritated, the more her father spoke. She really wanted to stop her father from talking, but she didn't dare to casually start speaking in front of the Hokage. There was, however, someone in the room who did dare to do so. Wow, that is such an interesting story, Inoichi. Can I go home now? I still have things to do. Everyone in the room froze up when they heard Yuna's comment. Even Inoichi, who was currently occupied with telling everyone in the room why his daughter was the cutest and that everyone should protect her, froze. It took Inoichi a while to regather his wits, but when he did, his head became red in fury. You dare to speak to an adult like this? Show some respect. Do you even know who I? Yawn asterisk. While Inoichi was gathering momentum for another rant, Yuna yawned loudly, which, yet again, stopped Inoichi's rant. A vein could be seen pulsating on his forehead as he sent a small wave of killing intent towards Yuna. Unfortunately for Inoichi, it washed harmlessly over Yuna without even making her twitch, surprising both Inoichi and Hiruzen. While the two were stunned, Yuna casually dusted off her clothes and started to speak to Naruto. Well, Naruto, let's go. The show is over. Naruto was, naturally, completely dumbfounded by that sudden declaration, but he still stood up obediently. Inoichi wanted to start another rant when the door to the Hokage office was opened with a loud bang. Inoichi casually glanced at the door to see who dared to enter the Hokage's office like this, but when he saw the intruder, his face became deathly pale. Inside the doorframe stood his wife. She had a kind smile on her face, but to Inoichi it looked like a demon was smiling at him. Inoichi dear, I think I told you, just a few days ago, that you shouldn't bother Hokage-sama with trivial things, didn't I? Inoichi was terrified out of his mind. No. No ssshi I just I. Inoichi was looking at his daughter for some support, but unfortunately for him, Ino was currently occupied with looking at an extremely interesting part of the wall. Next, his pleading look landed on Hiruzen, who seemed to have found an equally interesting looking part of the wall, as well. In a last act of desperation, he looked at Yuna for support. To his surprise, she gave him a warm smile that seemed to say that everything will be all right. Inoichi immediately felt better about the situation. He somehow managed to convince himself that Yuna will actually help him. Seeing Inoichi's hopeful face, how could Yuna not backstab him immediately? Without any warning, tears started to freely stream down her face, causing everyone who could currently see her face to be completely dumbfounded yet again. Yuna turned around with her face full of tears and looked towards Inoichi's wife, and as soon as she saw Yuna, her motherly instincts kicked in. Naruto, in another instance of quick-wittedness during pranks, quickly hugged Yuna. Don't worry, Nei-san. I won't let that bad man bully you. That was more than enough to unleash the lioness onto Inoichi. With a speed that even surprised Hiruzen, Inoichi was dragged out of the room by his wife, accompanied by a tongue lashing that might make it into more than one history book. As soon as the two of them left the office, Naruto stopped hugging Yuna. She had a rather satisfied smile on her face. Good job, Naruto. That was really quick thinking. Hehe, no problem, Nei-san. If it is about pranks, you can count on me. Seeing how Yuna and Naruto could happily chat with each other about how they just sent a man to hell, a little girl and an old man had, despite their difference in generations, the same thoughts. Those two are demons. The difference between the two was that Ino got enlightened after that thought. I see, that is why everyone calls them the demon twins. They would plunge someone into the deepest pits of despair and not even bat an eyelash at it. I should probably leave these two alone from now on. Wait. Haven't I already provoked them? Am I done for? Cold sweat started flowing down Ino's back like a river when she imagined being in the same situation as her father was currently in. I need to apologize. That is the only route to survival. They just finished off my father, I will be easy picking for them. Author note, Inoichi is not dead. He just wishes he was. Ino quickly said her goodbyes to the Hokage and then left his office. Hiruzen, meanwhile, was getting flashbacks of the scoldings he had received from his wife and was zoning out more and more. Ino quickly caught up to the twins and stopped them. Please wait a moment, I want to say something. Yuna and Naruto turned around with an indifferent expression on their faces. They, naturally, didn't have a good image of Ino, so her next words were rather surprising for them. I would like to apologize for what happened in the classroom last week. No matter how angry your comments made me, I shouldn't have tried to attack you. As for today, I'm sorry about it, as well. Naruto had no idea how to deal with the situation. This was pretty much the first time someone outside of those he considered family apologized to him. Yuna on the other hand thought about it for a moment and then nodded her head. You have no need to apologize for what happened today. You clearly didn't want it to happen, either. As for what happened in the classroom, how about we make a little deal? I would like you to do something. I will completely forgive you if you do it. At first, Ino was rather happy that Yuna didn't hold a grudge against her for what happened today, but when she heard that Yuna wanted her to do something, she was terrified out of her mind. She couldn't even imagine what kind of terrifying task Yuna had for her. Despite that, she decided to push on. She would rather do something terrifying than to be forced into a dead end without knowing about it, like her father. All right, what do you want me to do? Seeing Ino's, I will put my life on the line, expression, Yuna couldn't help herself but chuckle a little. It is nothing hard, you know. The next time you are alone with Sasuke, I want you to ask him the following question: if you had to kill everyone you know, including me, to get your revenge, would you do it? Although Ino was confused by this question, she was also elated by this. There was no way her Sasuke-kun would do something this cruel, after all. Considering Ino entered the classroom with tears streaming down her face and sat as far away as possible from Sasuke the next day, that assumption was probably not correct. Chapter 36, Ino Yamanaka. The academy just finished and Naruto, Hinata, and Yuna were currently on their way home. While Yuna had a rather casual smile on her face, Hinata and Naruto seemed to be rather awkward about something. They were constantly exchanging glances and then looked at Yuna, seemingly waiting for her to say something. Unfortunately, she never did say anything. After another few minutes of awkward walking, Hinata finally decided to say something. Yuna, it seems someone is following us. Yuna thought about it for a moment and then nodded her head. Truth be told, a total of 4 people were following them. The usual 3 and a new person. That person was Ino Yamanaka, who clearly wanted to talk to the trio, but didn't know how to start the conversation. I know, don't worry about it too much. After she manages to gather her courage, she will naturally come and talk with us. Gather her courage? Naruto and Hinata were naturally confused by that. If Hinata wanted, she could just activate her Byakugan and take a look at who is following them, but Yuna told her to not overly rely on it, since that would dull her skills. Yep, the person who is following us is actually. Yuna, please wait a moment. I want to talk with you. The trio turned around and Naruto's and Hinata's eyes widened in shock after seeing Ino Yamanaka appearing behind them. They both couldn't understand why she still wanted to talk with Yuna despite what happened yesterday. Yuna, on the other hand, wasn't that surprised. Despite how she acted during class, she wasn't totally retarded. Now that her hero worship for Sasuke is gone, she should be able to think about her situation and realize how dangerous her behavior was. Skipping training to fawn over boys isn't really a good way to survive on a battlefield. Yuna still had a casual smile as she answered Ino's request. Sure, I don't mind. I don't think you want to talk in the middle of the street, do you? Let's go to our house and we can talk after dinner. Although Ino wasn't sure about the situation, for now, she only nodded her head in agreement. It took the 4 a few more minutes to reach their home and enter. As soon as they reached their home, Yuna and Hinata went off to the kitchen to cook something, while Naruto sat down in the living room and started to meditate. Seeing that everyone was doing their own thing, Ino felt even more awkward. Naruto, why aren't you helping with cooking? A frown appeared on his face and he decided to just keep quiet. Unfortunately, for him, Yuna had heard Ino's question. It is because every time he cooks something that isn't instant ramen, it turns out horrible. Ino couldn't help but chuckle a little when she heard that and chuckled some more when she saw how Naruto's face turned slightly red after he heard Yuna's teasing. Ino couldn't stifle her curiosity, so she directly asked the next question. Why did you start meditating? Because that damn old man is especially grumpy today. Ino didn't notice, but when Naruto said old man, he winced for a split second as if someone had just shouted into his ear. What? Air. I mean air, don't worry about it. Ino gave him a suspicion-filled glare, but Naruto already went back to meditating in an attempt to prevent further questioning. Unfortunately for him, he managed to awaken Ino's curiosity. Why do you look so different from Yuna, despite being twins? Why wouldn't I? We just met on the streets someday and decided to become twins. Why is Hinata living here? She is our daughter. Why does everyone hate you? I am too good-looking, so people get envious, and my sister is the reincarnation of a demon. Why do you two have whiskers? It is the physical representation of the demon inside us. Didn't you say only your sister is the demon? I said people are envious of how handsome I am and didn't say that there are no demons sealed inside me. Is anything of what you have just told me true? No idea. If you could reread my answers to me, I might be able to cherry-pick a truth or two out of it. Ino couldn't help but pout angrily at Naruto since she received no information at all from her interrogation. Why aren't you telling me anything? A smirk appeared on Naruto's face, as he was prepared for that question. His face became solemn, as he pretended to be a wise man. A shinobi's greatest weapon is their secrets. Ino got even angrier when Naruto acted like an old man teaching a child a life lesson. Naruto, however, thought that her angry face was rather cute. After all, when Yuna is angry at him, she just keeps smiling at him. An angry Yuna smiling at him is something that could appear in his nightmares. He has learned by now that making Yuna angry is not a good idea. While the two people were quarreling, Yuna re-entered the living room and saw the spectacle before her. She couldn't help but smirk a little at such a good opportunity. Oh, good job, Naruto. When is the wedding? Both of them started to blush, while their heads turned towards Yuna and glared at her. Huh, just look at you two, you are already completely in sync. Nei-san, is that really necessary? Seeing the despair in Naruto's eyes, Yuna chuckled a little and then shook her head. Fine, I will let you off easy this time, but it is not really my fault that you try to seduce every woman that enters the house. Nen. Wahaha, okay, I'm sorry, but did you see Ino's face when I said that? Absolutely priceless. Anyway, Ino, there is no need to worry about Naruto. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Naruto gave a sagely nod and decided to at least return some fire. That's right. Who you really should worry about is Nei-san, who wants a harem of women for herself. This information is actually something Naruto got from Kurama. Naruto was annoying the hell out of him and Kurama wanted something to distract Naruto. Gossip like this is just perfect for such a moment. After hearing Naruto's words, her head immediately snapped towards Yuna. Ino expected her to deny it immediately, but Yuna didn't say anything since she was deep in thought. Is Naruto trying to counter my teasing? He sure has grown up, hasn't he? Oh well, he is a few million years too early to attempt teasing me. A perverted smile appeared on Yuna's face. She lifted both of her hands and started to wiggle her fingers like worms. Hee, that's right, little girl. Why don't you come with Aunt Yuna and I will show you something amazing, Gihi. Ino couldn't help but recoil away from Yuna when she saw that display, while Naruto was completely dumbfounded as well. Who is this person and what did she do to my aloof Nei-san? Seeing the shocked faces of the people in front of her, Yuna started laughing yet again. Ha ha ha, that sure got you good, didn't it? Ino was visibly relieved that Yuna was just playing a prank. I see, so you were actually acting and don't actually want an all-female harem, right? No, that part was true, you know. Ino could only look dumbfounded at the person who boldly made such a statement, while Naruto felt that the aloof image of his Nei-san was slowly crumbling. Chapter 37, Questioning. A few moments later, Food got served and the few people started eating in awkward silence. Well, Ino felt awkward. Hinata and Naruto were already used to Yuna creating situations like this, so they didn't mind. After everyone finished eating, Ino could finally ask her questions. I have a few questions about what happened yesterday and especially about Sasuke. Alright. I don't mind answering some questions, but first, I would like to know why you would ask me, of all people. Well, the first group of people I considered asking is one of my female friends, but after coming to understand how we have been acting around Sasuke, that felt rather off. There clearly was some shame on her face, but Yuna ignored that for now and only nodded her head. Let's at least wait until the conversation is over before I start teasing her about that. Next, I wanted to ask my parents, but your father would have snuck out of the room before the conversation was over, so he can assassinate Sasuke. Although Ino didn't answer her, considering how red her face was, she probably agreed with Yuna's assessment. I see, so I was pretty much the only option left, huh? Oh well, ask what you want to ask. Ino gave Yuna a nod and then asked her first question. Did you know Sasuke would answer like this, Yuna? Yes, I did. How did you know that he would have no qualm abandoning me? Yuna took a while to ponder how exactly she was supposed to answer this question. After all, because it's obvious, doesn't seem to be that great of an answer. Well, how should I put it? I am good at reading people. Very good, in fact. The way he moves, the way his eyes move, how he tries to isolate himself from everyone, and, of course, his general attitude towards those around him. Sasuke has a goal in front of him. He has decided that he will reach his goal with his own method and won't accept help from anyone. Anything in the way of his goal is something he is willing to get rid of. No matter what or who it is. Ino was naturally shocked by this. If it was yesterday, she would have probably started yelling at Yuna, but after speaking with Sasuke yesterday her opinion of him took quite the beating. What is his goal? I believe that is not something I should tell you, but if you want to find out, it is pretty easy to investigate. This felt rather weird to her. Yuna basically said, it is a secret, but it is easy to find out. Why doesn't he want any help? Whatever his goal may be, wouldn't it be easier to achieve with more people? Yuna couldn't help but chuckle at that. Of course, it would be easier, but if he asked people for help, then he wouldn't be able to monopolize all that angst and hatred for himself. Seems like he is following the footsteps of his ancestors. If it is about brooding, then no one can compare with the Uchiha. He doesn't want any help, because he is constantly telling himself that only the weak need help, that only he can do it, and that everyone else will just get in his way. Let me be serious with you, Ino. Just leave him alone. Attempting to help him will only make him angrier. I personally don't mind helping someone in need, but that is only when that person wants help. If you need help, but don't want it, then why should I bother? Ino didn't answer. She just sat there, deep in thought. I had a crush on Sasuke, but now that I know he would happily sacrifice me for his goal, those feelings are gone. Yuna told me that Sasuke has some grand goal he wants to accomplish. Do I want to support him? No. Yuna is right. If he doesn't want help, why should I help him? Although it took Ino a while to think everything through, Yuna quickly noticed that she has made her decision and nodded in satisfaction. Seems like she is at least capable of thinking things through properly when her head isn't occupied thinking of Sasuke all the time. Thank you for answering my question, but there is actually something else I want to ask about. This actually got Yuna quite curious. What else could there be? That incident in the classroom was probably the first time we talked with each other, after all. Go ahead, then. Ino cleared her throat, quickly stood up and pointed her finger at Hinata, who was currently chatting with Naruto. What the hell is this all about? While Naruto and Hinata were puzzled by what Ino was talking about, Yuna only had one thought, oops. Hinata was the first to react to Ino's question. Sorry Ino, but I am not sure what you are talking about. I'm talking about you, of course. Who are you? Where is the shy and meek Hinata, that couldn't even get a sentence out without stuttering? Hinata completely froze up when she heard Ino's question. As soon as she got home, she dropped the act she kept up at the academy and completely forgot that Ino didn't know her secret. Her first instinct was to look towards Yuna for help, but both she and Naruto had vanished and, considering the background noise, were currently cleaning the dishes. Fast. When did they leave? More importantly, did they just abandon me? What the hell? Well, this is pretty much my fault, but still, what the hell? Hinata sighed in annoyance at the antics of the twins. It is a secret concerning the Hyuga clan and me. I hope you won't tell this to anybody since it could seriously mess up my life. Ino, however, had a sly smile on her face. How about you tell me the whole story and in return, I won't tell anybody about. Ino was just about to finish her sentence when two hands landed on her shoulders from behind as a shudder went through her whole body. To Ino's surprise, Hinata was no longer sitting in front of her either. Ino-chan. Another shudder went through her whole body when she felt someone's. Hinata's breath touched her ear. Ino felt pressure press down on her as cold sweat flowed down her back when she heard Hinata's sweet-sounding voice. You won't tell anyone about my secret, will you? No, oh of course not. That's so nice of you, Ino-chan. Hinata disappeared again and reappeared on her chair with a kind smile on her face. Ino, however, was terrified out of her mind. What the hell was that? What was with that speed? What about the pressure? Has Hinata already spent some time on a battlefield? Are the twins like this as well? More and more questions kept popping up in her head, but she didn't dare ask any of them. Hinata's kind smile prevented her from asking more questions. Hinata has, of course, never stood on a real battlefield, but that doesn't mean she isn't used to combat. When she fights against Yuna, she always attacks with the intention to kill. Yuna taught her how to fight lethally and non-lethally and told Hinata that during fights with Yuna she should always go all out, since this is the fastest way to grow stronger. At first, Hinata was worried of actually killing Yuna during combat, but that notion quickly got thrown out of the window by Hinata. Even getting a proper hit in is almost impossible. No need to even talk about killing her. Just when the silence became suffocating for Ino, Naruto re-entered the room. His blonde hair was gone and instead replaced with black hair, while his blue eyes turned completely black. He looked like he was currently brooding over something. He didn't acknowledge anyone in the room, walked towards his chair, sat down and started looking out of the window. Ino found this scene slightly familiar, but didn't know where to put it, while Hinata was trying to suppress her laughter. She already could guess what would happen next, and as she expected, the door burst open, revealing Yuna with platinum blonde hair and light blue eyes. Ino was just about to ask a question, when Yuna started speaking. Today, I am sitting next to Sasuke Kun. Ino immediately blushed crimson red, when she heard that scream that was so similar to her own, a week ago. She wanted to say something to intervene, but Yuna reacted faster. She quickly approached the still-sitting Ino and glared at her. Ino, get away from my Sasuke Kun. Ino's face somehow managed to get even redder. She wanted to say something, but had no idea what to say. Unluckily for her, that was exactly what Yuna had expected. Sasuke Kun, you want me to sit next to you, right? Naruto, however, only gave a disinterested grunt as a response. Kya. Sasuke-kun loves me. Yuna was just about to say the next sentence, when Ino slammed her hand on the table. Fine. I get it, okay? I was acting really stupid. Can you stop this now? Naruto and Yuna both gave her a nod in acknowledgement and transformed back to normal. It is good that you realized it, Ino. Now if you will excuse me for a moment, I have something important to do. As soon as she finished her sentence, Naruto and Yuna collapsed on the floor and started laughing. Hard. A few seconds later, Hinata started laughing with them, and a bit later, even Ino joined in. She herself could see how ridiculous her behavior was. She was still embarrassed about it, but now that she has let go of her crush, she could also laugh about it. Chapter 38, Years pass by. It has been a few years since Ino joined their little group. However, while Hinata could pretty much be called part of the family at this point, Ino was simply friends with the trio. Her situation is simply too different from Hinata's, after all. For now, they have kept Ino somewhat in the dark in regards to their actual strength. The only thing Ino knows about them is that all three of them are holding back at the academy and that their teacher is actively trying to sabotage them. Yuna was rather satisfied with her growth in strength. She has managed to form her second chain and is just one step away from forming the third. She also attempted to teach them to Naruto, but that didn't go well. Naruto has either no affinity for them or simply can't use them at all. Hinata, on the other hand, had no talent for sealing and instead focuses on other things. She found out that her chakra nature was water, so she started learning nature transformation. She was actually rather close to perfecting it. Additionally, Hinata decided to pick up a sword to increase her repertoire and have a plan for when closing tenketsu isn't an option. For example, when fighting beasts instead of other shinobi, closing tenketsu is pretty much useless. Yuna taught her a sword style that revolves around flexible movements and counterattacks, a perfect match for her water nature chakra. Unfortunately, Yuna hasn't managed to get her hands on a chakra metal sword yet. The ability to close tenketsu with a sword poke should give Hinata a huge power boost. Naruto has been learning seals and, as expected of someone with the Uzumaki bloodline, absorbs knowledge about sealing like a sponge absorbs water. Aside from seals, Naruto spends pretty much all his time improving his chakra control. The ridiculous rate at which his chakra grows means he is constantly struggling to keep it at an appropriate level. Appropriate level, in this case means, a level at which Yuna considered it appropriate, meaning, pretty much perfect. Naruto is learning no combat style. Yuna tried teaching him a few different styles, but nothing seems to feel comfortable for Naruto, so Yuna simply continued honing Naruto's battle instincts instead of bothering about a combat style. Although Ino wasn't training with the trio, she was also getting stronger at a decent pace. Since she had two parents that are both shinobi, it is rather obvious who helped her train. Seeing that Ino is finally becoming a shinobi, seriously, her parents were naturally elated, as well. On the day Ino asked her parents for help with training, there may or may not have been a lot of reports of people hearing someone scream, "My little princess is growing up," followed by the sound of a pan hitting a head. It was the start of the trio's last year at the academy and Yuna was rather happy about the current situation. Except for one, all of Sasuke's fangirls were gone, which, truth be told, was not surprising for Yuna. Why would trash that doesn't train and only fawns over a boy make it through the academy, after all? The only reason why the last girl, Sakura, was still here, was apparently because she has quite the good head on her shoulders. She somehow managed to ace every theoretical test so far, which genuinely surprised Yuna. At the start, Yuna was certain that every time she wrote a word that starts with an S, it would automatically come out as Sasuke, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Such a pity. If she actually used her head, she might have actually made it far. Couldn't you have helped her like you did with Ino? Meh, I'm not a garbage collector, you know. Ino seemed somewhat redeemable and clearly had some foundation in critical thinking, probably taught to her by her parents, but Sakura, despite acing all the tests, doesn't seem to understand even the slightest bit of common sense a shinobi should have. With her high intellect, she may be a diamond in the rough, but unfortunately the whole diamond is covered in shit and I would rather not have to dig through all of that. Fair point, I guess. What do you humans call it again? High investment, low return, or something like that? Where in the world does a giant fox pick up a word like investment? Kurama? ************* I might have peeked at some of your memories. Yeah, I know. Okay, look Yuna, I'm sorry You knew? Obviously. You didn't think you could just randomly see my memories, did you? That's true I guess, wait. Is that why almost all of it were that kind of memories? Did you purposely show me all of that? Gihihi, it was your punishment for attempting to take a peek. And, how was it? Is your mind corrupted now? Gah, I would rather not talk about that. Yuna was just about to continue teasing Kurama, when a loud shout echoed through the academy. The windows shattered and everyone's eardrums burst, causing blood to flow out of their ears. Well, not really. With a loud bang, the door opened and revealed the culprit. Sasuke-kun, the two of us are finally alone. As expected, my love was the strongest. Sakura was in an extremely good mood today. She was the only girl that loved Sasuke still remaining in the class, and now, she can finally be alone with her beloved Sasuke-kun. Well, Ino was still there, but she seemed to have become friends with the idiot twins somehow, so Sakura didn't care about her anymore. Sakura believes that now, that she no longer has any love rivals, Sasuke will naturally become her boyfriend. Sasuke reacted the same way he always did. He grunted and then ignored her. Sakura seems to, somehow, have interpreted this as approval, as she restarted her screaming. Kia, Sasuke-kun is so cool. Look, I even went on a diet, so I can look more beautiful for you. After saying that, she started posing and showing off her non-existent figure. Yuna, on the other hand, would have made a spit take if she was currently drinking something. A fucking diet? She has to be joking. Yuna gave Sakura a quick glance and confirmed that she had indeed lost some weight. Is she completely out of her mind? What kind of soldier goes on a diet to lose weight? Okay, I can't take it anymore. I need to say a few things or my head will blow up from suppressing my own thoughts for too long. I thought you would leave her alone. Yeah, I thought so as well, but there is a limit even to my patience. With a quick motion, Yuna stood up and with a loud bang, she smacked down her hand on the desk in front of her. This naturally causes everyone in the room to look at her in surprise. Hinata and Naruto, the two people sitting right next to Yuna, naturally noticed her movements first. However, as soon as they saw that Yuna was angry, they simultaneously blended into the background and pretended not to be here. Things are about to become ugly and they wanted to have no part in that. Chapter 39, Confrontation. After getting everyone's attention, Yuna approached Sakura with an annoyed expression on her face. Sakura naturally noticed Yuna approaching Sasuke and her, so she had an annoyed look on her face, as well. After all, she was just talking with her Sasuke-kun. She doesn't want anyone to interrupt her. What do you want, idiot Yuna? I have no time for you because… Yeah, that sure is an interesting story, but I don't give a shit. The entire classroom was completely dumbfounded by Yuna's sentence. After all, so far, she has almost never talked to anyone inside the class except for the three people close to her, and even then, she never cursed, never argued, and never showed anything but a casual smile. The current Yuna acted completely different from that. She confidently walked towards Sakura and stopped just a short distance in front of her. The fact that she was about half a head taller than Sakura certainly gave the situation quite the domineering feeling. I have been enduring your bullshit for quite a while now, but your newest great idea to seduce Sasuke is so stupid that I can no longer stand it. I just wanted to endure your presence and ignore you. After all, as soon as you have your first real mission you will die anyway, but thinking it is a good idea to go on a diet is the final straw. At first, Sakura was dumbfounded at Yuna's sudden rant, but a few moments later her mood turned from confusion to anger. What do you mean with that is not a good idea? I'm dieting to look beautiful for my Sasuke-kun. How can it be a bad idea? Yuna felt that her brain activity was being reduced just by talking with Sakura, but she decided to power through the conversation anyway. Yuna lifted up her hand and lightly knocked on Sakura's head a few times. Hello? Is anybody in there? We are shinobi. If we are too fat, we train and turn the fat into muscles. We certainly don't sacrifice important nutrition, something which would weaken us in combat. Sakura would naturally not back down so easily. Aren't you just an orphan? What do you even know about becoming a shinobi? Don't we have someone from a shinobi clan inside this class that is constantly overeating, as well? Me losing a few kilos shouldn't be a problem at all. Sakura seemed to think that she just made an incredible argument, but Yuna almost started laughing after hearing it. Yuna, of course, knew who Sakura was talking about, Choji Akimichi. Choji was certainly overweight, but if he wasn't, his own jutsu would probably starve him out rather fast. Hehe, I see, so you don't even understand that, huh? Choji, could you stand up for a moment, please? Although Choji was confused by the situation, he usually didn't mind doing someone a favor if they asked him politely, so he simply stood up and looked at Yuna. Yuna, however, turned around and smashed her fist into Choji's stomach. A loud smack echoed through the room and surprised everyone currently watching. Choji, however, only twitched a little and then looked at Yuna with confusion. Why did you do that? That hurt a little. Sorry about that, how about I invite you to an all-you-can-eat barbecue as compensation? Choji's eyes immediately started to shine in anticipation. Oh, alright, I forgive you. Yuna couldn't help but chuckle a little at how easygoing Choji was. Truth be told, Yuna was rather fond of the Akimichi clan. They were very similar to the Uzumaki clan, but instead of seals, they focused on pills. Yuna turned around to the still shocked Sakura and started talking again. The Akimichi clan's family jutsu burns a massive number of calories. If a normal shinobi were to eat as much as Choji usually does, they wouldn't be just chubby like Choji. They would be round like a ball. For some reason, Yuna could see Choji nod in acknowledgement when she called him chubby, but decided not to bother with it for now. She could also see that Sakura was genuinely surprised by that information. Isn't she supposed to be a bookworm? Did she only read the books necessary for the academy and didn't bother with anything else? She was probably too busy dreaming about Sasuke and had no time to read more books, huh? You might want to occasionally pick up a book or two and not spend your whole day thinking about Sasuke, then you would have known about that. That seems to be the last push Sakura needed to finally snap. You idiot, dare to speak to me like this. Sakura reeled back her fist and punched towards Yuna's stomach. Yuna saw the fist approach her, but didn't move, while Sakura was elated thinking that Yuna couldn't dodge her punch. With a loud smack, Sakura punched straight into Yuna's stomach. Yuna, however, didn't move in the slightest. Not even a twitch. She only looked down on Sakura with a disdain-filled sneer. Weak. A single word, yet it seems to put pressure on everyone in the room. Sakura naturally was the most shocked. She just attacked with her full strength, yet Yuna showed no reaction at all. She was, however, even more shocked by what happened next. Yuna slowly and deliberately lifted her hand. She balled it into a fist and punched forward, straight towards Sakura's stomach. The closer the fist came towards her, the more pressure she felt. She felt like she was about to be squished by a giant. Just when the fist was about to impact her stomach, a voice echoed through the room. Stop. Yuna's fist stopped just a few centimeters away from Sakura's stomach, yet she still felt like someone had just punched her. She staggered backwards a few steps and started coughing for a few moments. Yuna meanwhile looked towards the door to see what their teacher for this year would look like. Simply brown hair tied into a ponytail, dark eyes, and a scar running horizontally over his face. She naturally has noticed him approaching, but continued anyway. It would not matter after all. Whether her new teacher hates her because of the rumors or he hates her because she threatens another student, at this point she really didn't care anymore. What are you doing to your fellow classmate? Yuna tilted her head in confusion with an innocent face. She attacked me, so I retaliated. Isn't that only natural? Bullshit, I didn't see her attacking you at all. Yuna considered just ignoring the teacher in front of her, but a rather interesting idea suddenly popped into her mind. She quickly scanned the surroundings to make sure the puppet was still watching her, and then she started her act. Disdain filled her eyes as she sneered at the new teacher in front of her. Then why ask what happened, when you already came up with your own conclusion? You are already convinced that I am guilty without knowing the whole story, so why bother asking? I am one of the demon twins after all. Why bother even pretending that you want to find out the truth? It is one of us, so naturally we are guilty, right? To Yuna's surprise, their new teacher seems to be genuinely shocked by her outburst. Is he just timid, or is he someone with enough brain to not eat up all the rumors without thinking them through? If it is the second case, then let me give him something to think about. Yuna's aggressive face vanished and instead it morphed into a face that seemed to be indifferent to everything. Her facade was just bad enough to be seen through by their new teacher. Oh well, it has always been like this, so who cares? She simply went to her seat and sat down without saying anything more. Naruto and Hinata, meanwhile, pretended to be worried about her, but couldn't wait to get home, so Yuna could tell them what exactly she was planning. They didn't even think for a second that Yuna was truly angry about the situation, because if she was, that teacher in front of them would have already experienced hell by now. The new teacher, Arika Yumino, however, was truly stunned by what just happened. He, naturally, had heard the rumors about the demon twins. Considering the Kyuubi killed his parents, he, without a doubt, held some animosity towards the twins, but he also understood that they were just the container for the bijou and not the bijou itself. So, when he saw that one of the twins was about to attack a fellow student, his mind immediately decided to trust the rumors without giving it any thought. Yuna's words after his accusation hit Irika quite hard. Wasn't he a teacher? Shouldn't he treat everyone in his class fairly? It is true that he only saw the end of the conflict and had no idea how it started, after all. If Sakura was truly the one in the wrong, he would have just accused an innocent student. That alone already gave him quite the hard hit, but what happened next almost knocked him out. When Yuna's face turned emotionless in an attempt to hide her feelings and she just shrugged off everything by saying, "Oh well, it has always been like this, so who cares?" His heart almost broke. He imagined how an excited Yuna joined the academy and then turned more and more apathetic as teachers constantly mistreated her, while the people in the village kept harassing her. A fire ignited in his heart. This is unacceptable. I will treat them fairly from now on. If they see that I am not like the other teachers, they should open up to me a little and maybe I can reignite their passion for learning. I have already made a misstep in Yuna's case, but that should still be salvageable. For now, I will ask the other students what happened and then deal with the situation properly. By acting like she did, Yuna wanted Irika to treat them like normal students, but what she didn't expect was that she would ignite her teacher's passion for guiding students and that from now on Irika would try to help the twins enjoy the academy. Meanwhile, inside the Root headquarters, Danzo received the report from the Root member that was constantly monitoring Yuna. After hearing the full report, he smiled. Well, he didn't smile, but one corner of his mouth slightly twitched, which was the closest thing to a smile he produced in a while. That girl finally broke under all the pressure. She sheltered those around her for 11 years and now it was finally too much for her. It is finally time to collect her. Truth be told, she is already too old to go through my Root program, but I will manage somehow. Meanwhile in the Hokage office, Hiruzen was getting a similar report, but interpreted it completely differently than Danzo. Do you know what she is plotting? I can only guess that she wants Irika to pity her. But why? She never cared about what others think about her. She always strode forward with confidence no matter what those around her thought. The ANBU that followed her around might have been incapable of seeing through Yuna's facade, just like Irika could only see what Yuna was willing to show, but he has monitored her long enough to know she wouldn't break down that easily. When she was 3, she was kicked out of her home, yet instead of crying, she moved forward without any doubts in her step and managed to organize a sleeping place for herself and her brother within the day. Someone like that breaks down, just because she was judged wrongly by a teacher? What a joke. This was the difference between ANBU and Root. The ANBU suppresses their emotions during their job, while Root members simply have no emotions. It is impossible for them to judge whether it was realistic for Yuna to suddenly have a breakdown, because they didn't know how emotions work from the start. Hiruzen and the ANBU kept pondering for a while longer what Yuna might be scheming, but came up with nothing, so they simply decided to wait and see. Since she did it openly, without getting rid of her ANBU guard, it couldn't be that bad after all. Right? Chapter 40, Danzo Shimura. Danzo-sama orders you to meet him, follow me. Really, Danzo? You didn't even wait until the week is over to contact me? How impatient are you? It is the day after Yuna's outburst inside the classroom. She just wanted to get some shopping done, but as soon as she left the house, the puppet that was usually watching her appeared in front of her. Yuna checked her surroundings for a moment and smirked. Oh my, you even brought 7 of your friends with you. Are we having a party? Ah, but I guess you would need that many to knock out my ANBU guard, wouldn't you? The Root in front of her, of course, didn't react at all. Yuna couldn't help but pout. Talking with an emotionless puppet is so boring. Lead the way already, I still have some shopping to do. Without saying anything else, the Root turned around and started walking away, with Yuna following behind him. What none of the Root members noticed was, that as soon as everyone left, a second Yuna appeared. There is no way she would brazenly stroll inside the enemy's stronghold without insurance, after all. Since she didn't plan to fight anyway, she just sent in a clone, for now. The real Yuna quickly approached her ANBU guard to wake him up. The more the merrier after all. Yuna's clone, meanwhile, followed the Root agent into an old abandoned-looking building. I see, Secret Organization Standard Lair 152A, old abandoned building. Very creative. Let me guess, you spread rumors that this house is cursed, as well? Yuna could have sworn that her guide twitched for a split second. Oh ho? Seems like their conditioning isn't perfect. Too bad I don't have much time. Might have been fun to annoy him enough to get him angry. Yuna was led to a dreary room, with Danzo already sitting inside it. He was sitting in front of a desk that had 2 cups of tea placed on top of it. Seriously? Might as well put a bottle with a skull on it on the desk. If that tea isn't laced with something, I will be eating my own shoes. Now I really hope it is just tea, although I doubt it as well. Yuna Uzumaki, I have been expecting you. Danzo Shimura, I wondered when you finally want to meet me. I'm surprised you know my full name. Yuna only rolled her eyes at that. Your puppet has been stalking me this long and you think I wouldn't know you? Anyway, let me tell you why I called for you. Changing the topic, huh? Oh well, let's see what kind of spiel he has prepared. I am sure you have noticed that a lot of people in the village don't like you and that you are also aware of the reason. Yeah, it is because a certain person has been spreading rather ridiculous rumors. Although Danzo didn't show it on the outside, Yuna could tell that Danzo lost control for just a split second. Hee, getting nervous already? I haven't even started, yet. Seriously, reincarnation of the Kyubi, the person who came up with that rumor must be completely retarded. A 3-year-old could have come up with something better. This time, Yuna could see Danzo visibly twitch, but he still had his stoic face on. Anyway, I believe the teachers in the academy aren't treating you well either, which causes you to lack the education necessary to become a shinobi. Changing the topic again, huh? Does he really think I am that easy to handle? Yeah, I know, right? It is almost like someone paid them to do that. But what kind of man-child does someone have to be, to bribe a teacher to harass his students? That would be too pathetic. This time anger was visibly on Danzo's face, but as soon as it came it was gone and replaced with his usual stoic mask. Hee, I can see the cracks. While Danzo was regaining his bearing and gathering his thoughts, Yuna took the cup of tea on the table and took a sip. Yuna also noticed that as soon as she took the sip, Danzo seemed to relax a little. Let's see. Seems to be poison to weaken my will and muddle my thoughts. Oh well, let's flush it out. Yuna stealthily circulated her chakra once and neutralized the poison. The poison itself was pretty weak and neutralizing it like this is something every experienced ninja could do easily. Danzo, naturally, wouldn't know how experienced Yuna was. He probably chose something not too strong, since he doesn't want to kill me or make me retarded, after all. Danzo was just about to speak when Yuna stole away his initiative. Pretty decent tea, but the poison distorts the taste a little. Let me give you a little advice, let the tea brew longer to make the taste more intense. That way, the poison will be harder to taste. This time, Danzo completely froze up. Not in 100 years had he expected that Yuna would notice the poison. What happened next, however, shocked him even more. Yuna took another sip of tea, frowned, put a cube of sugar into the tea, stirred it, and took another sip. Yuna nodded with a satisfied face. Sugar is also pretty decent at masking the taste. Anyway, you still haven't told me why I am here. I took Danzo quite a while to regather his thoughts. Yuna's loud slurping while drinking her poison tea certainly didn't help speed up the progress either. Anyway, as the container of the Kyuubi, you are a valuable asset for the village. It is very important for you to get a proper shinobi education. True, I always wondered why no shinobi family came to adopt us. Almost like someone was preventing them from doing so. But there is no way someone would block the village's important Jinchuriki from getting a proper upbringing. That would be the height of stupidity. Yuna took another sip of tea, while she observed Danzo from the corner of her eyes. Danzo's face was currently twisted in anger, and for a split second, a bit of killing intent leaked out. Weird. Has it gotten a little colder? Danzo immediately rebuilt his facade when he heard that and reined in his killing intent. Oh, must have been my imagination. How about you join my organization? I can probably train you and even teach you how to control the Kyuubi's power. Wow, you heard that, Kurama? He can teach me how to use your power. Since he seemed to be more proficient in it than you, do you want to ask him any questions? What a joke. This guy really thinks he is the only one that can think for himself and that everyone will easily fall for his traps. Such an obvious lie, yet he spouts it so confidently. That's right. It sounds confident because he actually is confident. He genuinely believes that, if it is him, he can do it. Yuna pretended to be interested and answered Danzo. Oh? You can teach me how to control it? That is amazing. Danzo was just about to ride on his high when Yuna immediately shot him down again. Let me guess. I have to become emotionless like the 8 puppets that are hiding in this room? Danzo widened his eyes in surprise when Yuna accurately told him the number of rude agents inside the room. He is slipping up more and more. Seems like I was correct, then let me guess some more. For you to help me, I only have to accept a little cursed seal, right? But I'm sure it will only prevent me from speaking about you, right? And you especially wouldn't slip in a seal that would make it impossible for me to disobey your orders, right? As soon as she finished her little speech, she deliberately glanced in the direction of the only person in the room that had such a seal on him. This time, Danzo completely lost it. His face twisted with anger as he gave an order. Capture her. The 8 people in the room instantly started charging at Yuna. Yuna, however, didn't move at all. Moments later she was tied to the chair and had a kunai on her neck. Well, this is rather rude, don't you think? How am I supposed to drink my tea if I am tied up like this? I have had enough of these games. I wanted to make you loyal to me through proper methods before I put this seal on you, but you leave me no choice. Pull out her tongue. You have some weird fetishes, old man. Before anyone could move, however, Yuna had already shown her tongue, while Danzo's face twisted even further in anger. He ignored it, for now, took out a stamp and stamped it on Yuna's tongue. I have had enough of you joking around. From now on you are no longer allowed to make jokes. Yuna felt that something was trying to influence her mind, but didn't bother with it. She pretended to chew on something and then spit a black blob of ink on the table. Tastes like shit. I will have to give you a negative customer review. Danzo, however, didn't even hear her speak. He was staring at the blob of ink on his table in absolute bewilderment. He couldn't believe that someone could remove his seal so easily. Are you worried about the ink stain? Just rub some alcohol on it. That makes it easier to remove. Danzo awoke from his stupor and crossed eyes with Yuna. There was only one question in his mind. How? Yuna could only roll her eyes at him. Just put the alcohol on a piece of wash rag or something, it really isn't that complicated. Danzo, naturally, had no idea what Yuna was talking about. He thought back on everything that happened and then understood what she meant. She was pretending that removing the ink stain on the table was a bigger challenge than removing his seal. Due to Yuna's constant mockery, Danzo's anger finally exploded and his killing intent crashed into Yuna. You dare mock me like that? Yuna was, naturally, not cowed that easily. She let her own killing intent loose, easily contending with Danzo's and suppressing the rude agents around her. You are the one mocking me. You have been interfering with my life from day one. You leaked my mother's pregnancy. You spread those rumors. You had us kicked out of the orphanage. You prevented the other shinobi families from adopting us. You told the teachers to harass us. Everything, just so you can get 2 loyal Jinchuriki for yourself, right? But it didn't go well, did it? Every time you came up with a new little scheme, I smashed it apart. You grew desperate and actually believed I had broken, because of that one little fake freakout. After all that harassment failed and you had a single fake success, you decided to invite me to your little organization. It is clearly you, who is mocking me, by thinking that I would actually be this stupid. Danzo's eyes widened in surprise, yet again, after Yuna's rant. He was surprised that Yuna actually knew that he was responsible for all of that. Then, however, he remembered something else. All that mockery Yuna was piling up on him seemingly out of coincidence, wasn't out of coincidence at all. His anger exploded out even more furiously and he was about to attack Yuna when she said another sentence. By the way, it seemed really uncomfortable to stay knocked out like that, so I woke my ANBU guard before coming here. As if that was a signal, a new rude agent entered the room and immediately kneeled down. Danzo-sama, Hokage-sama wishes to talk with you. Danzo really wanted to curse right now, but there was nothing he could do about it. He had to just ignore the mockery that was piled on him for now. He stood up, dismissed Yuna with a casual, "You may leave," and proceeded to walk towards the door. He was just about to leave when Yuna's voice echoed through the room. Danzo. He turned around in annoyance to find out what else the little brat had to say, but as soon as he did so, he regretted that decision. Through the murkiness of the room 2 ocean deep, purple eyes were looking at him. They exuded a depth and calmness he had never seen before and seemed to pierce through every single one of his secrets. His body shivered from a coldness that seems to have appeared out of nowhere. You will, someday, pay for your sins, Danzo. That arm, those eyes, the Senju, the Uchiha, the Uzumaki, and my parents, one day you will slip up. And the moment you fall from grace. The moment you lose your position. I will be there to reap your head. A shiver of pure terror ran through Danzo's whole body. He felt like death itself was standing in front of him. There was no killing intent, no pressure from chakra, nothing, yet he couldn't move at all. His whole body was completely frozen in place seemingly without a reason. He stood there for quite a while, completely unmoving. He didn't even notice when Yuna's clone vanished, nor did he notice when Hiruzen appeared in front of him. He just stood there with the image of 2 purple eyes and the darkness burned into his mind. It took him a whole 10 minutes to get out of his stupor and realize that Hiruzen was standing in front of him with a worried expression. Danzo's facial expression quickly changed back to his indifferent mask. Hiruzen, however, could easily tell that something was wrong. What did Yuna do with him? Did she publicly release his adult collection or something like that? That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next installment. Peace.